Council will be in order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Walsh.
Present.
Present. Counselor Fenton.
Present.
Present. Counselor Perez. Present. Counselor Whitfield. Absent. Counselor Govan. Present. Counselor Allen.
Present.
Present. Counselor Brown.
Present.
Present. Counselor Hurst. Present. Counselor Click Bruce. Present. Counselor Edwards.
Present.
Present. Counselor Curran. Present. Counselor Davila. Absent. Counselor Letterman.
Present. Will council and guests please rise and join me in a moment of silence? Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can all be seated. Thank you. Before we proceed, let the record reflect that Councilors Hurst, Curran, Click, Bruce, Perez, and Govan are participating in tonight's proceedings remotely. I also want to recognize and thank Councilor-elect Brian Santinello, who is also with us this evening. At this time, are there any reports of committee? Actually, we won't be having reports of committee. It's a hearings meeting. At this time, Madam Clerk, we were in that long committee meeting before this, Councilor Allen, and I was ready to hear about it again.
I got one, but next time.
So seeing none, before we call the first item, Madam Clerk, can you please recognize Councilor Whitfield?
Counselor Whitfield.
Councilor Whitfield is participating remotely. Madam Clerk, without further ado, please call the first item.
The first item is a zone change. It was continued from a previous meeting, and it's to change the zoning of a portion of the property known as 710 Liberty Street from Residence B to Commercial P and Commercial P to Business A.
Is the petitioner present? Please step forward. This is a zone change hearing. Will be run in accordance with the rules of the Springfield City Council. Each side will be entitled to 20 minutes of presentation before the City Council, both in favor and against. Both sides will also be entitled to 5 minutes of rebuttal. At this time, I will now declare that the public hearing is open, and I will recognize the petitioner as the first proponent. But just prior to you speaking, sir, Madam Clerk, please recognize Councilor Davila.
Counselor Davila? Present.
And so at this time, if the petitioner could please state their name and address for the record.
Attorney Tony Dos Santos from Career Chadwell, Dos Santos and Devlin on behalf of the petitioner. My office is here in Springfield.
And the floor is now yours.
Thank you. Do you mind if we put this up here?
Yes, that's fine.
That's fine. Thank you. We're finally here tonight to hear the merits of the zone change and the special permit application. We appreciate the councilors' support for getting us to this point. As you know, this is pertaining to portions of the property at 710 Liberty Street, which is currently partially zoned Residence B and Commercial P. And the request is to change all of it to the remaining portion of the property, which is Business A. As you're aware, the Sampson family are owners of the site and have been business owners for over 100 years in the city of Springfield. They might possibly be the longest continuously operating business in the city of Springfield to date. They've always supported the city, and in many ways, including the Hungry Hill Neighborhood Association, the Neighborhood Council. In fact, one member of the neighborhood graciously thanked the Sampson family at the last Neighborhood Council meeting for always supporting the council. We now come before the City Council seeking the council's support for the Sampson family request for their zone change. And further to that request, I'd like to note the following. The zone change, if approved tonight, would be consistent with all of the abutting parcels that are in commercial use, which you can see here marked with an X is the Sampson property. And just to go through those parcels, these are all zone Business A. 674 Liberty Street, which is directly abutting the parcel. This is the Liberty gas station. It abuts the parcel to the south. 705 Liberty Street is across the street. This is the Dunkin' Donuts parcel, abuts the parcel across the street on the east. 633, 665 Liberty Street is again across the street. This is the Taco Bell and abuts the parcel to the east. 728, 732 Liberty Street is directly abutting, that's ABC Glass in the law office, and that directly abuts the parcel to the north. 660 Liberty Street abuts the parcel, not directly abutting, but it's to the south, also zoned Business A, that's the McDonald's. 715, 719 Liberty Street to the east is International Auto Sales. All parcels surrounding this parcel in question, all zoned Business A. I'd like to also raise the point that despite some opposition and a 3-2 non-unanimous vote of the neighborhood council not to support the zone change, there's a lot of support within the city for this zone change. The city planning board voted to approve the zone change on June 21st, 2023. The city planning and economic development department recommended approval, stating the following. After reviewing the plans submitted with the application and reviewing the overall zoning of this area, the staff does not object to the proposed request. Overall, the staff believes that this is an appropriate zone change for this section of Liberty Street. The proposed Business A zoning is consistent with the majority of the zoning in this area, including the direct abutters. Further, as noted above, this site has been used for commercial use for numerous years. As such, the staff does not believe the proposed zone change will have a detrimental impact on the neighborhood or surrounding properties. Again, that's the professional staff of the city of Springfield. Despite the opposition submitting a previous petition with around 35 signatures from residents, many of whom did not live in the Hungry Hill neighborhood, the Sampson family has submitted a petition with well over 200 signatures, most of which are from the following streets directly surrounding the subject property. I believe all these were submitted to the City Council. Sullivan Street, as you can see, these are all surrounding the subject parcel. Sullivan Street, 9 signatures. Cleveland Street, 15 signatures. Phoenix Street, 14 signatures. Phoenix Terrace, 20 signatures. Utica Street, 3 signatures. Clantoy Street, 19 signatures. Cherlin Street, 20 signatures. Ariane Place, 2 signatures. Carroot Street, 7. Pembroke, 5. Genesee, 1. Lowell, 1. Grover, 25. Littleton, 27. Stockman Street, 15. Freeman Terrace, 7. Hastings Street, 9. Kendall Street, 2. Newbury Street, 2. Hamlin Street, 2. Pembroke Circle, 1. Vadnais Street, 6. Oakhurst Street, 2. Wilbert Street, 7. Worthy Street, 7. These, again, are direct abutters, the neighboring streets directly around the parcel who would be most affected by this proposal. In all, there's over 260 signatures on the petitioner's submission. Beyond that, there's many people here tonight I know that are here supporting the petition, and I know many of them don't want to come before the City Council and speak. Some will, but I'd ask for a show of hands for all of those in attendance tonight that are in support of the zone change and special permit application. As you can see, there's a lot of support.
So both sides are going to be entitled to speak this evening. And I do want to remind Attorney Dos Santos that you are about 5 minutes into your 20 minutes. So if you do have further people who plan to speak, keep in mind that at 20 minutes, your proponent's time will end.
I shouldn't be more than 5 minutes longer, if less than that. And I appreciate all those people coming out to support the Sampsons in their efforts to do this, to implement this zone change, and subsequent to that, hopefully, the special permit application. I believe the zone change request ultimately comes down to an issue of fairness. If you were to deny the Sampsons this zone change for the property, they'd be taxed on this parcel for over 50 years as a commercial parcel. In fact, some of it is zoned residential. The Sampsons are not here tonight looking for an abatement. They're looking for fairness and for the city to correct what should have been corrected years ago in terms of the zoning of this property. If they're denied this application, the Sampsons wouldn't be able to submit another application for a zone change for 2 years, which I think is unfair given the situation that the city has this sort of spot zoning, different zoning for different areas of the parcel. It's worth noting that the city itself believed this property was zoned Business A, and the City Planning Department Economic Development Office noted in its recommendation for approval of the Dunkin' Donuts permit that this City Council approved. They noted that the property to the west was used for a funeral home in zone Business A. So you'll note that the city in the past has actually noted this as being Business A, when in fact the entire parcel is not. I hope that the City Council will take into account the majority of the abutters who directly are associated with this property, and many of the others who signed the petition and those that are here tonight in support of the Sampsons. We request that the City Council vote in support of this petition, not only for the zone change, for the subsequent special permit coming afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Dos Santos. Are there any further individuals who wish to speak in favor of the zone change request this evening? Say again, are there any individuals who wish to speak in favor? If you wish to speak in favor, we'd ask that you step forward at this time. And if there are multiple individuals, you can form a queue. That way we'll get an
Hi, my
idea.
name is Katie Grimes-Raffel, and this is my sister Maureen Grimes-Bonavita. We're here representing my dad.
Can you please state your address for the record?
We both live on Warren Terrace in Long Meadow. We're here representing my dad, who lives on 119 Wilbur Street in Springfield, and who couldn't be here because of medical reasons.
And could you just speak directly into the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
He just wanted us to let everyone here know what great neighbors the Sampsons have been to the Hungry Hill area, and that he is in favor of the zone change, and he hopes that everyone is fair and would have the change because of all the businesses that surrounding it are the same, and they deserve to have that change.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any further individuals who wish to testify in favor? Please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Teresa Shea. I reside at 75 Graney Street in Springfield, directly off of Liberty Street, heading towards the Springfield Plaza. By all means, I should be on that side of the island this evening, or aisle, and I'm not. I'm here for Johnny Sampson. He's been a great steward of our community. My mother is 101 years old, and her final wish was to be buried out of Liberty Street on Sampson's. And when I told her I was coming here this evening, she said, "Oh, tell Johnny go for it. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon." So she thinks that she has several more years. My father actually built Sampson's funeral home. He designed and built the apartment for Mrs. Sampson. He also, in the basement, dug the basement out by hand. And my brother over here used to go with him and play with his Tonka toys. The last memory I have of Sampson's is my brother being buried out of there on August 3rd, leaving there feet first. I'm probably the only one in the chambers this evening that every morning at 7 o'clock I pass Sampson's on the way to work, on the way home, and I probably drive by the funeral home at least a dozen times a day, and I don't have any issue with the property being a car wash. So again, he's been an excellent steward of our community. He's always there for us. So these are the three main reasons why I think it, it's okay for Mr. Sampson to go forward with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any further individuals who wish to testify in favor? Attorney Stratton, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, President Lederman. Attorney Seth Stratton with offices in 1 Monarch Place here in the city of Springfield. I'll be brief because you're going to hear from me momentarily on behalf of the petitioner for the special permit at this location. And I thank Attorney Dos Santos for taking the laboring oar here. He did a phenomenal job. I was involved both with the neighborhood council as well as the planning board and working with the city office of planning and economic development to get to planning board support for the zone change. As many of you also know, we are before this council quite a bit on behalf of businesses looking to do business and create economic development in the city of Springfield. And we believe that here, the unique zoning, which is a holdover, and Attorney Dos Santos explained very well, that a zone change is perfectly appropriate to match the zoning to the existing use and the neighboring uses, and is only fair to the property owner. And I say that because we will be before you later tonight on another zone change with a very similar story. So thank you for your support this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions on the use when the special permit is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Stratton. Are there any further individuals who wish to testify in favor of the special permit this evening or of the zone change? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record. While that individual comes forward, Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that Councilor Davila has transitioned to join us here in the chamber. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Alondra Filpetto. I reside at 289 Gold Street in Springfield. I approve of the future changes because nothing does stay the same. The only constant is change. And unless it's been protected by the city of Springfield, like Christ Church Cathedral on 35 Chestnut Street, I believe we should move forward with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further individuals present who wish to speak in favor of the zone change? Counselor-elect?
Yes.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Brian Santinello, lifelong resident of Springfield, 1983 Parker Street, Springfield, Massachusetts. I just want to say that if you look at it, all the other businesses are zoned 2A. This is not going to be out of the ordinary. This was supported by our planning board and our planning department. I've known the Sampsons for years. They're the most caring, generous people you'll ever meet in your entire life, and they always care about Hungry Hill. That's why I'm here in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor-elect. Are there any further individuals who wish to speak in favor of the zone change this evening? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Name's Chris Quinn. Live right off a page, 18 Eureka. Just want to go ahead and give my support for the car wash on 710. And that's about it.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Are there any further individuals who wish to speak in favor of the zone change this evening? Say again, are there any further individuals? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Nicholas Sassi. I live at 710 Liberty Street, and just like all the other abutters, I think they should be turning over to the zone change, because just like all the abutters, they can have business A. That was it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any further individuals who wish to speak in favor of the special permit or the zone change? Say once again, are there any individuals present further to speak in favor of the zone change? Seeing no further individuals present to speak in favor of the zone change, Attorney Dos Santos, if you could remove your demonstration there. And at this time, are there any individuals present who wish to speak in opposition to the zone change? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record. Opposition will be entitled to the same 20 minutes. And just to give folks an idea of the process from here, following the opposition, there will be time for 5 minutes of rebuttal from the proponents, followed by 5 minutes of rebuttal from the opposition. At that time, we will then enter into questions from members of the council while the hearing remains open, and we'll go from there. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much. My name is Mary Ellen Russell O'Brien, and I live at 109 Sterling Street in Springfield. I also own the house I grew up in at 457 Armory Street. I'd like to first of all give a big shout out to all of our suburban friends who are here tonight, and their concern for the neighborhood is heartwarming, to say the least. The Hungry Hill Neighborhood Council has held several meetings with the residents of the neighborhoods in regard to the petition that you see before you this evening. These are the individuals who actually cared enough to come out to our meetings. And the consensus was that the location at 710 Liberty Street is not an ideal location for a car wash. For those of you who may not be all that familiar with the area, it's important to have an overview of the situation as it now exists. If you were standing in front of this property, you would see to the left a gas station, to the left of that a McDonald's, a Subway, a Bank of America kiosk, a building advertising tax business, and a convenience store. All of that goes around the rotary toward Armory. Across the street is a plaza that has a consumer auto parts store, a Save-A-Lot grocery store, a dollar store, a laundromat, a Taco Bell, and in the back of that, a church. Traffic in and out of that location is monitored by a traffic light that, once it turns red, backs up traffic on both sides of Liberty Street. And next to that, on the corner of Phoenix and Liberty, is a Dunkin' Donuts that makes it at times almost impossible to make a left-hand turn out of Phoenix onto Liberty. All of this is practically on top of the Armory Street Rotary, which at different times in the morning and again in the afternoon cannot sustain the traffic that is there now. Just Tuesday morning, there was another horrible accident there. Added to this are 2 on-ramps and off-ramps for Interstate 291. The off-ramps feed into the Rotary and up Liberty, and then around and down Armory and up Armory. When the schools are in session, add to this school buses, pedestrians, cars, crossing guards from Bolin and Zanetti, all are added to this, which makes further gridlock in that whole area. The Hungry Hill neighborhood is perhaps the most geographically constricted neighborhood in the whole city. Every major thoroughfare in our neighborhood, that's Crew Street, Liberty Street, Armory Street, Newberry, and Nottingham, are single-lane streets on each side. There's no Page Boulevard, there's no Boston Road, no Columbus Avenue, no State Street, no Bicentennial Highway. This is perhaps the least appropriate, not only neighborhood, but not only the street, but any place, neighborhood in the city to put in a car wash. Please keep all of this in mind as we go forward. On August 17th, representatives of this developer of this project appeared before our neighborhood again. The following question was posed to the man who was representing them. How many cars does your facility have to service on a daily basis in order to be profitable? The answer was 388. So 12 short of 400. For all intensive purposes, you're talking 400 cars a day, and if 400 cars go into the car wash, 400 are going to have to come out. You're talking 800 passes a day in one driveway, and that's all going to feed out and come in from Liberty Street. The next question that was presented to this individual was, what is the demographic that you feel is going to meet this quota? Because I'm telling you right now, they're not coming from Forest Park, they're not coming from East Forest Park, they're not coming from Indian Orchard or 16 Acres, and it's for darn sure they're not coming from Wilbraham or Long Meadow to have their cars washed on Hungry Hill. The answer was, we don't expect it to be a destination. We expect that it will come from the confines of this neighborhood. Well, for all of us who still live there, we're telling you right now, that's highly improbable. So it seems that there are 2 scenarios that might play out here. If a car wash were to go in and even get 200 or 300 cars a day, it's going to exacerbate an already difficult traffic situation there. And if they do go in and they find that they don't meet that quota, then they'll pull out, they'll write it off on their taxes, and the neighborhood will be left with an empty car wash. The argument can be made that whatever goes in there will be for commercial use, and that's true. And anything that goes in there for commercial use will affect the traffic flow in that area. But the residents would be far more willing to accept and to endure some type of traffic, more traffic, if it was for a service or a business that they needed. We have a car wash on St. James Avenue. It can be accessed easily and safely from any place in the neighborhood in a matter of minutes. It can be accessed from the Liberty Street side, the Crew Street side, Plaza Drive. We don't need a car wash. There are questions that need to be addressed here that speak to a number of concerns that encompass far more than one piece of property. Anyone who holds elected office or anyone who accepts a position on a board or a commission in this city, anyone who has that, they have the responsibility of making decisions and voting for decisions that look to the future. Is something that is going in speaking to economic development? Is it providing a number of jobs? Is it providing a service that isn't there now? Does it speak to renewal or rehabilitation or possibly gentrification? Nothing about car wash speaks to any of that. You know, for those of us who still live there, we see the changes in the neighborhood. It's an old neighborhood, it's old housing stock. There's a lot of things that are indicative now of the problems that affect all of urban America. But people have come out to our meetings. They are the ones who cared enough. I wish that everybody who was here tonight cared enough to come to some of our meetings. The people came out to the meetings, and they want their concerns to be heard, and they want them to be respected. They are the people who live in this city. They are the people who vote in this city, and their concerns need to be taken into consideration. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the work that you do for our city. The other thing I want to say is, from January 21st to October 12th of this year, from January 21st of 2021 to October 12th of 2023, the Traffic Bureau of the Springfield Police Department filed 240 accident reports in our neighborhood. 99 of them were specific to this area. That Rotary and Liberty Street and Armory Street going to, and then the Albany Street and Armory Street dry bridge is scheduled to be rehabbed, and once that happens, you won't be able to move there at all. So why would we add to that? 800 passes a day in order for someone, out of town, whatever, car wash to be profitable? It deserves to take a lot more concern and examination. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further individuals who wish to testify in opposition to the zone change? Please state your name and address for the record.
Certainly. Matthew Sullivan. I live at 19 Bedford Road in Springfield. Excuse me. And I'm also a property owner at the house I grew up in at 51 David Street in Springfield. Earlier this year, back in August, I presented a petition to this council that was in opposition to the car wash. This petition was, written in good faith. It was signed by residents of Springfield, primarily Hungry Hill and Liberty Heights. And everyone that signed this did so in my presence. And, the 30 or 40 names we got on that, I can say with certainty, are in strong opposition to the car wash. Tonight, you've been presented with another petition. Attorney Dos Santos is very proud of the petition, saying there's about 200 signatures on it. And I can say that what I said about my petition cannot be said for the petition you were presented today. In my hand here, I hold a document signed by two residents of Wilbur Street, Gerald Fenton and Larry Illingsworth, whose names appear on the petition that you were presented today, but they attest that they were misled dramatically about what they were signing. Mr. Fenton, who lives at 17 Wilbur Street, said that he was given a petition by Frank Keogh on Saturday morning, which stated that the petition that he was signing was in opposition to the car wash. His neighbor, Larry Illingsworth, also states that Mr. Keogh came by on Saturday morning and presented him a petition stating that this was in opposition to rehabilitating Kendall Commons into being low-income housing. These are clear misrepresentations, and if I was able to find two examples of what is a pretty clear example of fraud in 15 minutes by myself, I think it's fair to call into question the validity of the other signatures on this petition. What we see here today is nothing short of fraudulent. It's also really in keeping with the way this has proceeded since the beginning. This is not a negotiation that has been done in good faith in any way, shape, or form. There's been bullying and badgering. There's been large donations made by the business owner to members of this body, certainly within his right and legal, but certainly questionable considering he's an out-of-town business owner and he has business before the council. There's been enlisting third parties to, again, bully and badger people in the opposition to this project. And then this final dirty trick with the petition. This is not how the city should operate. This is certainly not how grassroots neighborhood activism should be treated. It's been a very disappointing process all around. Mary Ellen did a great job explaining a lot of the measurable reasons why we're in opposition to the car wash. Those reasons still stand. But in addition to that, the way this process has gone it's been shameful. And I'm hopeful that as we move forward, we're able to come to a common understanding and an agreement where we can work in conjunction with the business owner in the city and find a good repurposing of this property, the same way we did about 10 years ago when the city created a park and named it after my Aunt Mary Troy, basically across the street from Sampson's property. We can come up with good solutions. There's a lot of strong, smart minds in this city. We can do better than this, and we can certainly do better than resorting to dirty tricks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Are there any further individuals who wish to testify in opposition to the zone change at this time? Please state your name and address for the record.
James Strickus, I live at 825 Cruz Street. I personally own and control 6 units there, so when they say I have 7 signatures, I already have 6, and I'm totally against it. Multiple times a day, I travel down Liberty Street. I'm 1 block away, and I run into bumper-to-bumper traffic all the time. And it's quite ridiculous that I have to travel several blocks away, several blocks down, several blocks away to get around this. From what I'm hearing the opposition, they don't even live in the area. I was at the Hungry Hill meeting. I go to their meetings. They had about 40 people there when Mr. Sampson and his attorney spoke. And everybody was against it. Now, these are homeowners. Now, there's a minimum of at least 2 and mostly 3 family houses that they own and luckily came to the meeting to speak out. And so I've gone to several of their meetings, and on all occasions, I've only seen opposition to the car wash and the zoning change. Nobody in favor of it. It's creating a big problem. If I'm experiencing that, and I control a couple of units on that block, it's highly unlikely that the neighborhood would encourage or want that. It is a big problem. And if they got away with it or lived there doing business for over 100 years, they're not hurt to need a zoning change. The only reason for a zoning change is to get more money out of the property. And that's going to create a problem. You should also understand that the people that live there, close to it, should have the most say. Not these other people that live somewhere else that are not affected from the area. We live there. We're immediately there. We own our properties. I don't know if they own it, but it's quite ridiculous to give any say to people that don't live in the area. And I personally experienced that and heard from a lot of people in the area. They don't want it. They're against the zoning change. It's not needed. They got away with it for over 100 years. It's not necessary. So please support the community that actually lives there. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further individuals present who wish to testify in opposition to the zone change? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record. And just to ensure that everybody is heard, I just want to check in. We're at about 14 minutes on the opposition. I just want to make sure all opponents are heard. If you are intending to testify in opposition at this time, can you raise your hand if there are further individuals who are going to want to testify? I'd ask that you just form a queue, and that way we can have a visual representation of where we're headed. But we should have time. If those are the final 2 opponents, we should have time for both. So please state your name and address for the record.
My name is James O'Connor, reside at 73 David Street, and also own the property at 67 David Street. I've been a resident there at Hungry Hill for 65 years. It's important to know that with this zoning issue, certainly I know how my properties are zoned, and anybody that owns property should, but the zoning that we've got on Hungry Hill predates everything that's been built up around there. The Rotary wasn't created until 1967 when 291 went in. All of these businesses that have sprung up around there, they've all been, since that zoning was originally done. There probably are issues with zoning, and it probably needs to be looked at more universally. But as far as this petition goes, I know that they do have 200 and some odd signatures on there, and I only saw it about a half an hour before this meeting started. Everything that's happened with this has been at the 11th hour and 59th minute. But I did notice, and anybody that takes a quick scrutinizing of those petitions will notice that some people signed just with 1 or 2 letters, not an address, the same names appearing on multiple sheets, same names and addresses, I might add. These are people that perhaps are residents of Hungry Hill, perhaps they're abutters. I don't know how anyone was incentivized to sign the petition or to go door to door with the petition. I'm not sure what that was, but I know that I've heard from a couple of neighbors, as far as misrepresentation, neighbors on Grover Street that were told if they didn't vote or support the car wash, that the next thing was going to be a Wendy's, and that would be a real nightmare. I'm a retired dispatcher for an ambulance company here in Springfield. When we had the nursing homes on Kendall Street, we continuously had to divert traffic to the hospital because of the tie-ups at the end of Phoenix Street, Phoenix and Liberty, directly across the street from Sampson's. And at least when there was a wake going on or some sort of services at Sampson's, at least if it was going to create a traffic issue, they'd have off-duty police there. We won't have any of that benefit, I'm sure, with the car wash, and I don't know either that we're going to see the crowds that they're hoping for. But I will say that all of this has been done in a rather sneaky, underhanded manner, in my opinion. We're here to support our neighborhood. We're not compensated for it in any way. We've come to these meetings time and time again where they've been postponed. Everything to the convenience of the petitioner, with absolutely no consideration for the desires of the neighborhood. Most of our folks are old, can't get out. Those of us that are still fairly mobile get out and come down and appear for these things. We've got an interest, we've got a vested interest in the neighborhood and the property values. We'd ask the city council to give the same consideration to the folks that you represent as we do to the folks that we represent in our neighborhood. They're counting on us to speak for them here. We're counting on you folks to support the wishes of the neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Excuse me. My name is Joseph Cristofori. I live at 859 Long Meadow Street in Long Meadow. I own a home on Phoenix Terrace, 153 Phoenix Terrace, which my sister resides in. I know everybody on both sides of these aisles. I can understand a zoning change. I'm just here to say that there's certain issues when Sampson's buried both my parents. He's a good friend. I consider him a good friend. I just think if you need a zoning change, that's fine. If it ever goes forward with a car wash, this is the new, auto pay nightmare we're all running into. Nobody goes to their gym memberships, but you're getting charged $20 a month for it every month. That's what you do now with car washes. You go up and you sign up for $35 and you get your car washed 3 times a month. It's just that would be such a terrible location for something like that. When Sampson's has a funeral that has more than 50 cars, they get a police detail, to help with traffic. There's not going to be any such detail for traffic with a car wash there. And I have no problem with the zoning change, but just please don't do a car wash there. It'd be a nightmare. John, I'm speaking to you directly now. This is just crazy. Zoning change, fine. Just please don't put a car wash in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further individuals who wish to testify at this time in opposition to the zone change? Seeing none, at this time we'll now move to rebuttal by the proponents. The proponents will be entitled to 5 minutes of rebuttal. Attorney Dos Santos.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will not dignify some of the accusations here with a response. I will say that I thank the opposition for their well-thought-out comments. I would point out that many of them mostly are not germane to the issue before you, which is the zone change. A few of the last comments were germane to a zone change, but most of them are not germane to a zone change. Attorney Stratton will undoubtedly give you a great presentation on the merits of the special permit, and I, in fact, will speak in favor of that as well. But I'm not going to address that here because that is not what's before the City Council at this point. It is simply a zone change request. I might add that Mr. Sampson has been approached by numerous people over the years to buy that parcel, and he has turned down numerous requests, some at a cost to him that he felt would have been more detrimental to that community. He is in support of the potential use there, which I will speak about later when it's germane to the special permit. But in regards to the neighborhood council meeting that I attended and Mr. Sampson attended, there was no vote taken at that meeting. A statement was made that everyone was against it. There was no vote taken. The vote was taken 3-2 at a previous meeting. The meeting that Mr. Sampson and I attended, no vote was taken. They heard us, and the meeting was over. So the statement that everybody was opposed to that is blatantly incorrect. I thank you.
Thank you, Attorney. Are there any further individuals who are in favor of the zone change who wish to speak during this time of rebuttal? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is John Sampson Jr., and I am the minority stockholder, the TP Sampson Company, and a city resident. I live at 49 Tinkham Road. I just wanted to make that clear that I do live here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sampson. Are there any further individuals who are in favor of the zone change who wish to speak during the rebuttal time?
Sorry. Well, I live in 15 Pembroke Circle in that area, and we're looking forward to that car wash. We have been speaking to some people about it, and some of us are here in favor of it.
And sir, could you just state your name, please?
Abimael Llanos, Abimael, last name Lanos.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Are there any further individuals present who are in favor of the zone change who wish to speak during this time of rebuttal? Please state your name and address for the record.
How you doing? My name is Jeff Aricolo, 737-741 Liberty Street. I'm in favor of the zone change. I really don't think it's going to make too much of a difference with traffic there at all. I've lived there my whole life. I was raised in Hungry Hill. I just don't see it making a difference at all.
Thank you very much. Are there any further individuals who are in favor of the zone change who wish to speak during the time of rebuttal? Say again, are there any further proponents who wish to speak during rebuttal? And say for a final time. This is for individuals who are in favor of the zone change during this time of rebuttal, and this is the final call. Seeing none, at this time, are there any individuals who wish to speak in opposition? The opposition rebuttal will be entitled to 5 minutes as well.
I just have a question for the attorney, who said he was at a meeting where there was a vote of 3-2.
So at this time, we're in a period of time where the council is accepting testimony on the zone change. The council will have time to question proponents and opponents momentarily. So if you feel that that question should be asked, we just ask that you encourage the council to do so. And
Very good.
The council's preference.
I would like the council to ask, I've been to all of these meetings, and the lawyer that just spoke was only to one of our neighborhood council meetings. And just so that you have a little bit of background on that, we appeared before this body on more than one occasion, and it was advised that we get together and we try to work it out and, come to, and they were advised of when our neighborhood council was meeting, and no reply was ever given to us about whether or not they were going to attend. So we were not able to notify our residents that they were going to come to our meeting. And on the night of the meeting, which starts at 6 o'clock, we were notified at 5 o'clock that they were going to come to the meeting. So if that's acting in good faith, I'm not really sure that I would call it that. So, and again, I would say to the individuals who have come here tonight, it would really be nice to see you take a real interest in the neighborhood and come to some of our meetings.
Thank you. Are there any further individuals who are in opposition to the zone change who wish to speak during the rebuttal period? Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, thank you. Just want to respond also to the comments the attorney just made. I'm not looking to make more comments. He doesn't want to dignify with a response, but I do think these comments were germane based upon the fact that the majority of his presentation, including a really nice graphic, was designed around, and he listed all of the people that signed the petition in favor of the car wash and the zone change, and listed how many lived on individual streets. And again, I'd like to submit this. It's a signed document. I didn't get it notarized. I'm not a lawyer. We had about 5 minutes before the meeting before we were able to produce this. But again, 2 residents living back to back on Wilbur Street who clearly attest to the fact that they signed a petition under false pretenses. I mean, draw your own conclusions, but I think it definitely calls into question the validity of the petition. Question of grassroots AstroTurf. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. If you'd like it to submit that formally, you can hand it to the clerk, or you can hand it to Councilor Allen, who can hand it to the clerk. Thank you. Are there any further individuals who are in opposition to the zone change who wish to speak during the time of rebuttal?
Yes, since that was directly affected to me about all. I've gone to several Hungry Hill meetings, and we've spoken at all, and the members have made it clear what their intention was. And at the meeting they were at, so I take a great offense that everybody that asked a question was a negative one against it. So if everybody asking a question was negative against it, then they're against it. Not only that, but I've been to several other meetings they were not present at, and the same thing I hear from the neighbors. They were against it. So I take great offense to when you say, well, everybody wasn't. Yes, they were. They just didn't speak out. They spoke out at other meetings. So I take offense to it. So please help the people that actually live there, that understand what's going on, and not what you're hearing, which is false. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further individuals present who are in opposition to the zone change who wish to be heard during the time of rebuttal? I'll say again, any further opponents who wish to be heard at this time? And I'll say for a final time, are there any opponents who wish to be heard during the time of rebuttal? Seeing none, at this time, we'll open the floor to councilors who may wish to have questions while the public hearing remains open. Councilor Fenton.
Questions?
Questions, statements. We're collecting evidence.
Okay.
We'll close the hearing and then enter debate. But certainly at this time, Councilor Fenton, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm feeling a little under the weather tonight, which is why I'm wearing this mask, so I'll try to keep my remarks brief, but this is my district, and I think as everybody can see plainly here today, this has come to an unfortunate apex this moment, and a divergence of interests. We are ultimately here talking about a car wash to be proposed on Liberty Street, and in the abstract, I have to confess that's not the worst thing in the world that could ever happen to this location on Liberty Street. This is a general business area with mixed uses and predominantly two-family residence B zones in and around the area. So we started this process as a neighborhood over a year ago. I went back in my notes and looked when we heard from the first applicant. It was before October of 22. And in that time, this neighborhood, led by these good neighbors here, met 8 times in neighborhood council meetings to talk about this subject. And all of those meetings were open to the public and noticed to neighbors. So unfortunately, we've reached this point where we're being asked to make this decision, and a lot of statements have been made. I can't speak to the veracity of all of them, but I was at almost all of those neighborhood council meetings as I tried to attend all of them. And I would like to say a few things that I do know for sure tonight that are going to go into the basis for why I'm going to make the decision that I'm going to make. The first is that we have good people on both sides of this debate. The Sampsons and their family and legacy at this site, they are good people who have done good work for the city of Springfield and the communities writ large for many, many generations, over 100 years. That's true. What's also true is that these folks right here who donate their time, who contribute to the vibrancy of the Hungry Hill neighborhood, and who meet monthly to facilitate neighborhood discussions, not just on zoning projects, but on everything from Christmas tree lightings to national night outs. These are the core group of people, the volunteers, who do the quiet work across all the neighborhoods of the city, who are coming here tonight to be heard, and they are good people too, and they deserve to be heard, and I hear what they have to say. In those 8 neighborhood meetings that we had, there was extensive opposition from the neighbors. Many of those meetings were attended by 40 or so residents. I attended, as I said, almost all of those meetings. I did not hear support for the project during any of those meetings except for from the applicants. There was one individual who testified at the most recent meeting who, Mrs. Heasley, indicated thanks to the Sampson family for everything they've done for the Hungry Hill neighborhood. But it is a factual statement from my perspective to say that during all the neighborhood council meetings, the testimony that was given from the neighbors who attend those meetings was negative. And it was negative and consistently negative over a period of a year, which is why the neighborhood has submitted their letter of opposition to us tonight. Again, they had those meetings on many occasions, and most recently at the urging of this body. Mr. Sampson and his attorney, Mr. Dos Santos, did attend the last meeting, and I'd like to thank them for doing that. They also hosted a meeting at the funeral home on Liberty Street, which took place a few days after the last meeting where we voted on granting the continuance. And myself, Councilor Allen, I think Councilor Walsh also attended that meeting. And many of the folks who are here in support tonight submitted testimony on behalf of the Sampson family. This is the fourth city council meeting on this subject, and I opposed the last two continuances that were granted for the very reason that I thought that the neighbors who had already opined on the subject should be offered the respect of not just being heard, but being heard in a conclusive and predictable way. So these folks have now attended, this is the fourth city council meeting on this subject, where people from the neighborhood have had to come out. And as you can see, there's a great deal, many more people here tonight than we've experienced in the prior meetings. And we also have the petition, which was submitted earlier today. And I would like just to say about the petition, one thing, which is that based on the dates on the petition, it does appear that the petition was gathered over a period of many months, dating back to at least September on the date on it. And if that petition was held by the applicant during any of the last four city council meetings that we had on this, it would have been appropriate to submit that at the time so that the neighborhood could have had the opportunity to invite those folks to the neighborhood meetings that we asked them to conduct. So I do, petition aside, and we can say what we want about veracity of this or veracity of that, it's pretty clear that it didn't just come together today. They've had it for quite some time and been working on it for quite some time, many months. And it would have been nice if that petition was made available so that we could invite those people to the neighborhood meetings. The other things I would just like to address in terms of clarification from some testimonies that were made earlier, there was some statements about zoning and assessment, and I understand and respect that frustration that part of the property is zoned Residence B and zoned Commercial P, but the building and the premises has been used for commercial purposes. And for clarification to the council and the members of the public, under the assessing laws and the rules and orders of the Board of Assessors in the city of Springfield, it's the use that dictates the assessment, not the zoning district. And Mr. Sampson, I'm sure, can attest to this. He has a site on Tinkham Road that is not zoned commercially. I'm sure that is taxed commercially because it is used commercially, and we're not proposing to change that zone tonight. I do want to acknowledge Mary Ellen's comment about the neighborhood board being a vote of 3-2. I attended the board votes, which were had on at least 2, possibly 3 occasions, because they were asked to revote by this board. And to the best of my knowledge, but I'll let the board speak for itself, that vote was a 4-1 vote in each case. And I think the sole dissenting member here is supporting Mr. Sampson tonight in his application. The other thing that I did want to clarify in the testimony that was made is there was a map that was shown, and it was suggested at one point, not by Attorney Dos Santos, but by another member of the public, that all the property in the area was Zone 2A. And I just want to make sure everybody's clear that is not a zoning district. That map was not a zoning map. That map was a ward map. 2A is the precinct 2A. And the other gray area that you saw was not a different zoning district. That's the line between Ward 2 and Ward 1, which we just changed through redistricting. But if you were to see actually a zoning map there, it would show you a much larger hodgepodge of zoning in that area. It is true that it is Business A along the whole frontage of the Liberty Street corridor, but the rear is not. It is very largely Residence B, which is designated as yellow on the GIS, and that's the 2-family zoning district. So those are the things that I know and that I wanted to submit into the record for the benefit of the public and my colleagues. I wanted to specifically acknowledge again that there are good people on both sides of this debate and they deserve to be heard. On the whole, this is a very dangerous intersection, and it's an intersection that currently has 5 drive-thrus. It has a Chester's Chicken, it has a Dunkin' Donuts, a Taco Bell, a McDonald's, and no, I think it's 4, right? It's 4. This would make 5. And it is a busy and heavily trafficked intersection. So any drive-through use that you would put in this location would be of concern for traffic reasons. Now, are there circumstances in which we could work with the applicant to come up with an appropriate zoning designation that would allow for a use that's on the frontage of the property, on the Liberty Street frontage for business A, and maybe a less intensive use in the back, while not overly disturbing his marketability for the property for the future? Yes, there are ways that we can do that. Unfortunately, the proposal that has been put forth is to rezone the entire parcel as business A all the way to the rear, backing up to Cleveland Street and to Sullivan Street, and that presents a unique opportunity for queuing and a drive-through use. And that is the concern of the neighborhood. It is based on a variety of factors that you heard tonight, but the one that is the most compelling to me is traffic and the dangerousness of that intersection. And so as a result of that, I do intend to oppose this tonight and would encourage my colleagues to do so. But I do hope that the rest of this debate we can do in a more elevated way so that we can come to an appropriate conclusion for this issue that unfortunately is putting two respectable sides at odds. On the whole, my responsibility is to the neighbors, and the neighborhood council is the best manifestation of that. I'll say again that these are the people who show up each and every day to make our neighborhoods better, and we should hear them on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Again, the hearing remains open. At this time, we'll go to Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Did you say that this is a good time for us to ask questions?
Yes, Councilor Govan. So just for folks' information, at this time, the hearing remains open. Councilors are entitled at this time to question both petitioner proponents as well as opponents. And then once the questioning and evidence gathering is concluded, we will declare that the hearing is closed. We'll enter debate amongst the council. Councilor Govan.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. So I guess my question wasn't, I guess, to the petitioner or to the opponents. It was more, I've been actually trying to get more information on this. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the meeting that Mr. Sampson had in the neighborhood. I think I got sick that day. But I called actually Councilor Fenton last week or the week before, and before Thanksgiving, I was actually wanting to ask him some questions about this. I'm not sure if I can do that at this time.
Yes, you can.
Perfect, thank you. So
I should clarify, Councilor Fenton does not have to answer them, but he is welcome to if he would like.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilor Fenton. I just wanted to know who is on the Hungry Hill board, the neighborhood association?
The board is comprised of, and the board is here so they can speak for themselves, but it's my understanding that the board is comprised of Dan Roy, Jim O'Connor, Mary Ellen Russell O'Brien, Deb Heineman, who is not here, and Kathy Mossy. Kathy Mossy, of course.
Oh, okay. So there's, that's a 5-member board?
Correct.
I see. Okay. So yeah, that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know who was on that board. I actually have been getting a lot of responses from neighbors that live on that the Liberty Street right there. So I guess that answers my question for now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. We're going to go to Councilor Davila, followed by Councilor Perez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have quite a few questions, but I will try to be brief and at least in my initial questions. First, welcome everybody to the City Council chambers, and thank you for your passionate. I know I will try, Councilor Malo, to be brief. It's rare, but I will try to be brief. to be here today. So first, let me make a couple observations, if I may, Mr. President. First, let me reassure you, to you people here on this chamber, that every single one of us takes every petition seriously, even if we are not from that ward. Because collectively, we have an obligation to do what we think is right based upon what is presented to us. And I thank you for being here. And I can see the passion on both of you on this side. Now, I do want to make some observations, and I might not make friends with this observation. But I'm a little concerned with the tone. Basically, one side is accusing the other. As far as I know, I hear a lot of hearsay today. One side accuses the other, you don't live here, you're from out of town. But yet, from the other side, somebody admitted that they live in Long Meadow and have property in the location. So let us not throw stones in the glass house. That's my first observation. My second observation that I make is that this wise and humble body, a couple months ago, approved 2 special permits. One, a Starbucks in the North End. And a lot of the arguments were similar to the ones that are against it, were similar to the ones being used, mainly to do traffic. And this body passed it. The second permit that we approved recently was on Boston Road, a car wash. And this body approved it. So we need to be congruent on what we do. With that being said, I do think that some interesting thoughts have been brought up. And I do have a question for Attorney Seth in a second, if I may, Mr. President. But first, I would like to ask a question which is kind of like rattling in my brain, to be honest with you, Mr. President, because I don't know how to take this statement that was made. And I apologize, I don't know the name, Mr. President, of the young lady that spoke in opposition, the first lady that spoke, if I could ask a question of her, if that's allowed.
I think that might be Ms. O'Brien.
Yes, if she could come to the podium, I just have a question.
Sure.
Good evening, Mr. Bryan.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your
Thank you.
passionate elocution today and speaking. But I do have a question because I'm really struggling with a statement that you made. And please, if I misheard you, jump in, correct me. Just correct me if I'm mistaken.
Sure.
I do believe that you said that you highly doubt that the people from your neighborhood are going to support this business. And then you alluded that it will be out-of-town people. I believe you say that you doubt that people from Forest Park, which is the district that I represent, I think you mentioned other neighborhoods, are not going to patronize or go to this establishment. So the question to you is, why do you think the people in your own neighborhood are not going, 16,000 people, which I believe live in the area, are not going to patronize this? What makes you believe that?
Oh, Mr. DeVille, I think there will be some people who will patronize it. I just don't think there'll be 400 every day.
But isn't that a risk that the proponent takes?
Pardon?
Isn't that the risk that the proponent takes?
Oh, absolutely, it's a risk that they take. But what happens when they don't make that quota?
Well, that's a problem, not ours.
That's a problem for who?
For them, not for us.
Well, it's a problem for the neighborhood when it's left with an empty car wash.
Well, you do have a good point, but it's a risk of taking business, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So what I'm asking you is because I can tell you like to debate, which I appreciate. And no, it's not my intention to enter into debate with you. I'm asking you, why did you make that statement? Because I'm still not really understanding.
Because I don't believe that they're going to get 400 cars a day to go into the car wash.
Why?
Because the neighborhood itself is first of all, we already have a car wash on St. James Avenue.
Right.
Pardon?
Right, yeah. I'm
Right,
listening, go ahead.
so we have one car wash already.
Yeah.
And when cars are bumper to bumper on Liberty Street, I just don't see people saying, you know, I think I'll pop in and get my car washed. And as far as the Starbucks in the North End and the car wash on Boston Road, both of those areas are on streets where there's 2 lanes of traffic on each side.
That is a fair point.
That
I
is
will give you-
indeed.
I agree.
But we don't have that on Liberty
Mr.
Street.
Ryan, I thank you, and you do bring a fair point, but I want you to know that I'm not buying your first point. I want to be very clear with that. I do not think that you speak with all due respect for 16,000 people. You're here today, and I thank you for that. But at least I just don't see it, and I'm trying to be as informed as I can be before I take the vote. Thank you, Mr. Bryan.
So,
Mr.
Councilor
Bryan.
DeVille, may I ask?
If I may, I'm done with my question. I do not intend to engage in debate with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien.
Mr. President, if I may, sir.
Councilor Davila, the floor remains
May
yours.
I entertain a question to Attorney Seth?
Yes, Attorney Stratton.
Good evening,
councilors.
Good evening, Attorney. Thank you for being here, sir. So I believe you said you're going to be representing. It is on item 2 for the actual special permit on the car wash. I think might have been Ms. O'Brien or somebody brought up, which I thought was a fair point, about one driveway in and out. Is that an accurate statement?
There is one curb cut in and both ways in and out, correct?
Okay. And so I'm going to ask you now, you don't have to answer me now, but at least put this in your head. If this passes and we move on, I highly encourage or think that maybe we should look at 2 driveways, 1 entry, 1 exit. I know that was something similar that in another permit on East Columbus that we recently approved, in which we spent an entire 2 hours talking about 2 driveways, in and out, and then the directions of where the traffic was going to be. So
I recall that.
Yes, indeed. So I do think that's a fair point. I do highly encourage the powers to be to mull that over so that we can reach a resolution today on this issue. Because I think that we are going a little, like Councilor Fenton said, a little too long on making a decision on this, and a decision has to be made. Thank you, Attorney Seth. Mr. President, I do have a few more questions, but I would love to hear what my colleagues have to say on the issue.
Thank you, Councilor
Mr.
Davila. We
President.
can certainly circle back. And just a reminder to councilors that we're currently on the hearing for the zone change. There is a subsequent hearing for a special permit related to the specific development, although we're currently on the zone change to Business A, and that's what we're collecting evidence on right now. Councilor Perez, followed by Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know who to address the question, but my question is concerning traffic. And the question based on is, any traffic study was conducted, and what was the report from that traffic study, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. I think that would probably most likely pertain to the special permit relative to the specific proposal, but I understand the 2 are connected. I'll allow the question to be answered. Relative who would be best to answer it, it would probably be Attorney Stratton or Mr. Jerome.
Thank you.
If you can indulge us both on Councilor Davila's question and that question, when we get to the special permit application, I do have with us a team, both from the developer as well as engineer, and so we can address, if appropriate, all of these comments during our presentation, now knowing what the questions are.
So what I will do, I will withhold my question, but at the other sense, we are mixing apples with oranges. So let's clarify then that we are only discussing the zoning change. Thank you so much.
That's certainly your prerogative, Councilor Perez. If the information will pertain to your vote on the zone change, it's appropriate for you to ask the question. I'm just making clear for the record that what we are collecting evidence on right now is the zone change. So it's your prerogative if you want to ask the question now. and I will allow it to be answered, but it's up to you.
No, I will withhold my question. Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Are there any further questions, Councilor Brown?
Thank you, Mr. President. My question is for a member of the Neighborhood Council, if possible.
Ms. O'Brien?
Thank you for being here, Ms. O'Brien. And,
You're welcome.
Thank you for your service. I just had a question, and I'm sure you guys can answer it. When it comes to traffic, are you more concerned of the speeding or the congestion part?
Primarily the congestion, because it's so congested you can't really speed there.
And is it a certain time?
Yes. The mornings in particular, the business, when schools are coming into session, when people are trying to get to work, or they're trying to get down Stafford Street to get to the hospital or to get onto the highway. And then again in the afternoon, when the schools are getting out, traffic is usually backed up all the way up Armory Street, all the way down Liberty. And at times in the afternoon at 4:30, when people are getting out of work, it's very, very difficult to get around there.
Okay, and it's just around the lighting area? And I just asked because we, like my colleague Councilor Davila stated, we do have schools, a lot of schools in our area. I know a lot of times we address a lot of the things with a lot of the new businesses. They'll do certain things creative with the lightings and like the crossways and things. I know Gordon Pulsifer has been great as far as helping. When it came to even traffic itself. So that was kind of like my main thing when you guys said traffic. Was it, it's not speeding, it's more just...
It's more congestion, and it's a big concern with the access ramps onto 291 on the Rotary. And also, and this, people may question why this would be relevant, but there were 31 traffic accidents reported down at the Genesee and Armory at the Puerto Rican Bakery. And again, people might say, how is that relevant? But once there's a traffic accident down there, it blocks traffic coming all the way up Armory, which again feeds into Liberty and feeds around the Rotary.
Now with that, I know they're doing a project over there.
They're going to do the Albany Street dry bridge.
You don't believe that because that's kind of not that far where I'm at. You don't think that's going to help with the actual congestion?
Oh, God, no. It'll cause far more. While it's being rehabbed, I mean, once it's rehabbed, it will just go back to a normal flow of traffic.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. The floor remains yours unless you have concluded.
No, thank you,
That concludes.
Mr.
Thank
President.
you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Whitfield, followed by Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wasn't going to speak on this issue because I already know how I'm going to vote, but there were a couple of concerning remarks that were made, and I just can't stay silent about them. I too wish that both sides could have came to a resolution. I remember Mr. Sampson's location being there. I didn't grow up in Hungry Hill, but I live there now. So one point that I want to make is I've never gotten a notice to attend any Hungry Hill meeting ever. And I live there, so I'm not really sure what mailing list they go off of, but I've never gotten one. I probably couldn't go at the time that they have the meetings because of my family situation, but I could have possibly made an exception for these meetings, but I've never gotten a notification. So I'm not sure what neighbors do get them, but it's not me. And then secondly, I wanted to address, I'm sorry, ma'am, but I also forgot your name, from the Hungry Hill Neighborhood Council. I wanted to address a comment that you made, and I too wanted clarification on it because you made a comment that certain neighborhoods would not visit Hungry Hill, and you left out a couple that I really noticed because I grew up in one, which is Mason Square, and then the other one that I noticed you didn't mention was North End. So I didn't know what you meant by folks won't visit from Forest Park, East Forest Park, 16 Acre, Indian Orchard. You were very specific on the neighborhoods that you did mention, but you left those two out. And so is your concern about folks coming to Liberty Heights is what I know it as, from those neighborhoods?
You know, Councilor Whitfield, I'll try not to be insulted by that. Let's go through all the neighborhoods. 16 Acres, Hill McKnight, Indian Orchard, East Springfield, North End, South End, Mason Square. What else do we have? East
So,
Forest
I'm
Park,
gonna try
Forest
not to be
Park.
insulted as
I
well,
don't
ma'am.
believe that any of them are going to be making the trip to Hungry Hill to get their car washed there.
Okay, and like Councilor Davila also mentioned, that's the choice of the folks. The reason that I asked the question is because I was trying not to be insulted as well. I just wanted to clarify that there were neighborhoods that were left out of your comments and I didn't know why. So that was a clarification question, not an insult question. But that's what we're here for, to get clarifications and ask the questions that we want answers to.
It
And that was
goes,
one that
it goes, Councilor Whitfield, to the number of cars that have to be serviced there on a daily basis for it to be considered profitable.
Okay, and like Councilor Davila also said, that is a business decision for the folks that could possibly build there or not. And they would have to either take the loss or figure out how to make it profitable. But that was my concern because those neighborhoods was left out. And this one, I'm all set, ma'am. I just wanted clarification there. But this isn't the first derogatory remark that I've heard from folks coming from that neighborhood council. There's a gentleman that also spoke that made a remark that was addressed at a previous meeting. And he said something to the fact that a lady called him an N-word and he's not even black. Now, these are things that I can't make up, and these are things that I will never forget. And so I'm just trying to make sure that things are done orderly and equitably. And I want to make sure that folks are taking all people into consideration, because there's a St. James car wash right up the street from me, and I never go there. But I do go to Boston Road, and I do go to South End, and they're not in my neighborhoods. So I just wanted to make that point. Like, it doesn't sometimes matter where you live, is where you feel comfortable at. And as far as the zone change go, which is a topic, I just wanted to say that the Sampsons have been paying a commercial rate on this piece of a parcel of land for as long as they've been there. And they're not here asking for any refunds or anything of that. They just want a zone change, and then we make a decision on the special permit. And I don't think that there's any wrong with the zone change because it's separate from the special permit, and that's something that we can discuss at the appropriate time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield, Councilor Allen. Ms. O'Brien, at this time, I cannot recognize you in accordance with the hearing. Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question is for Mr. Dos Passos. I hope I have your name right. My question is about the traffic study. Who did the traffic study? Did you guys vet it before you came forward with this proposal? And do you believe it? Is it true? We've been saying that 388 cars are needed daily to be profitable. Could you give me your comments on the traffic study, its credibility to you, and what else we might need to know about it that would help?
Councilor Allen, I appreciate the question, although I think it's more germane to Attorney Stratton and the proponents of the car wash, as I am counsel to the landowners who are looking for the zone change. So I can tell you that as for the abutting uses, this will be a much lighter use than the McDonald's, the Taco Bell, the Dunkin' Donuts, and the other abutting parcels. But I would leave it to the specific traffic study to the proponents of the development. If it's okay to defer to... Yeah.
Mr. President, could I just make a comment that I requested that answer earlier, and I just proposed, it was proposed to have it in the next step of approving the car wash at the point. Otherwise, I would have made my questions.
Yes, Council President. Similarly, as I said to you, I will say to Councilor Allen, which is certainly that is something that will be brought up during the car wash. At this time, we are debating the zone change. If it's germane to your decision on the zone change, it is your prerogative, Councilor, whether or not to move forward with that conversation at this time.
The part that's germane is whether the number we're using is a number that the petitioners agree with. I don't need to know the whole thing about the traffic study. If we get to the special permit part of the meeting, it's more appropriate for that. But we have been using the number 388 or approximately 400. I'd just like to know if that is accurate, what we've been talking about.
And as I said, that's your prerogative, Councilor. So if that's the case, I defer to Attorney Stratton.
It is generally accurate. That is 375 to 400 vehicles per day would be an accurate guesstimate of the visitation.
Thank you. We'll go to Councilor Fenton, followed by Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a clarifying question for some of Councilor Whitfield's remarks, if she's willing to answer. I think I heard you say, Councilor, that this wasn't the first derogatory remark that you heard this neighborhood council make, and then you referenced a prior statement about somebody using the N-word, and I guess my question is twofold. The first is, what derogatory remark are you talking about tonight, and when did you suggest that someone on this neighborhood council previously used the N-word before this board that I missed?
So for question number one, repeat that one.
See, you said this wasn't the first derogatory remark, so what remark were you referring to
I
tonight?
said I was trying to clarify it. I was trying to clarify if it was a derogatory remark, because yes, on this council, at a hearing, the guy, and I'm not gonna call him out, but he's here, said, and the lady called me an N-word, and he said nigger. So if I gotta say it, I'm gonna say it, and I'm not even black. And it was addressed by the president, Councilor Letterman, that we are not gonna tolerate that kind of language in the chamber. And he spoke today on behalf of the neighborhood council.
You're impugning that remark on the neighborhood council, that there's a member of the neighborhood council here tonight who made that statement.
This discussion is really going far afield, getting too personal. It's getting away from what we're really here for, the zone change, and I think we should get back to the basics. Good people on both sides of this.
Thank you,
And
Councilor Walsh.
I'm not calling anybody a bad person, but I'm answering the question that he asked. But if I find something inappropriate, or if I'm not understanding it, and it's coming across a little bit inappropriate to me as I see it and how I feel personally, I'm gonna address it. I don't care who's in the room, I don't care who's listening, I don't care what vote, and I don't care what counselor asks. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so to finish my remarks, Mr. President, I would just say that the members of this neighborhood council board, I find to be of very high character and integrity. I have never heard that language used by members of this board anywhere, particularly before this body, and I can speak to the character and integrity of the members of the board who are here tonight. I did not hear any derogatory remarks that were made in their testimony, and that is my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. And I will provide, relative to the conduct of this hearing, I believe there was an individual who testified in favor or in opposition to the zone change. I do not believe that individual necessarily represented themselves as a member of the neighborhood council, but that is what Councilor Whitfield, I believe, is referencing. I just want to give that context. It was a comment that was previously made before this body in public speak out, and at that time, I did address the comment relative to the fact that I do not tolerate that language being utilized in the council chamber. However, subject to a ruling of the Massachusetts State Supreme Court, we are not actually able to police the language that is used in this chamber, whether it is debate amongst council colleagues or whether it is comments coming from the body. And so for individuals who are hearing this for the first time, it was a very jarring event when it occurred. And I believe that that is what Councilor Whitfield is referencing. I do want to provide that context. And once again, I stand by my previous statement, which is that I do not tolerate that language. However, I am not empowered to police an individual using the language. At this time, we will go to Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I think I would like to call the question because we are convoluting items 1 and 2. And I think people are really eager to get to item 2. So I'd like to call question 1.
I second the motion.
I appreciate the councilor's interest in closing debate.
We gotta
We
close
aren't
the
in our normal hearing schedule, or we're not in our normal regular meeting. We're in a hearing. We're sitting as a quasi judicial body at this time. An appropriate motion would be to close debate, and we could debate that motion, but we cannot move the question yet because we have not reached that point. Councilor Govan, do you wish to revise your motion?
I do wish to revise my motion. I wish to, I make a motion that we close the debate.
Motion has been made by Councilor Govan to close the public hearing, for not accept any further testimony. Seeing no further discussion, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on closing the public hearing.
On closing the public hearing, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Councilor Hurst, can you repeat that vote?
Yes, Councilor. Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the vote's unanimous. The public hearing is now closed. This time we'll enter debate amongst the council prior to a vote on the zone change. Is there any further debate amongst the council?
I don't believe I've spoken on the issue yet, Mr. President.
Councilor Walsh, the floor is yours.
I apologize for my, I didn't catch it from Councilor Fenton. I apologize for my voice. But I do agree with one thing that Councilor Fenton said, and that is that there are good people involved on both sides of this issue, and everybody deserves to be heard. You know, usually, for the benefit of the people here and at home, when we have a zone change, the city council as a whole, we rely on many sources of information before we make a vote. We rely on our planning board. We rely on our city planner. We rely on the neighborhood council. And I want to emphasize that there are good people on this, on the neighborhood council that have come down tonight. It's not easy to put yourself out there and present your point of view when there's opposition on both sides. But what I'm looking at simply, I am looking at this not at the personalities involved. I am looking at this from a business point of view. I am looking at this that there's been a business at 710 Liberty Street since 1880, a family business that has served the residents of Springfield in that neighborhood, a good family, a family that, as far as I know, has supported every Irish cause and issue and other people who needed help. They are good people. And I think it's so unfortunate there seems to be this animosity. But what we have to look at is the zone change. And the zone change is a business asking us, giving permission for them to adjust to changing times. Times are changing. The funeral business is changing. They want to make a change. And I'm supporting that change because I think that we really owe something to a family that's been there for over 100 years, has been a good neighbor. And the meeting that I went to in the funeral home, which I have to say was kind of odd to be in the funeral home and wasn't awake, but anyhow, the abutters were in favor of it. So I'm sorry there's so much disagreement, but I'm in favor of the zone change.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Before I go to Councilor Brown on debate, I just want to check Councilor Govan and Councilor Whitfield, you both have your hands up. Is this to speak at this time?
Yes, sir.
And Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go to Councilor Brown, followed by Councilor Whitfield.
I just have a quick question, maybe Councilor Fenton would know. What are the hours that is it going to be something they're going to run? It's going to be something automated, so it's going to be pretty. Who would I ask about that?
That's item 2.
There are hours. What was that, Counselor Allen? 8 to 8? 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., I think that's right.
Okay, because what happens a lot of times, believe it or not, I know, I definitely can trust the neighborhood councils. I always respect you guys and your wishes and things that, I appreciate you guys' service. I can trust the business owners. So it is kind of, I do feel for both sides. I know the business owner just recently buried a cousin of mine, Mike Voss. And, a lot of times coming from a big family, when there's loss, I can assure you we've visited him a lot and we'll probably visit him a lot more, unfortunately. In my area, a similar proposal was presented, where we did do a car wash, and it's still kind of, it's set up same way kind of with traffic. During certain times, it backed up with traffic. Honestly, I didn't see much of the difference, to tell you the truth. We have people who complain about like that light right there at the fire station, across from Rebecca Johnson, with or without the car wash added. The traffic is still, during certain times, is going to be congested. So it really wasn't, if congestion was a part of the matter, that's something I really didn't see that much of a difference. Now, if it came to speeding, then I would have a little bit more red flags. As business owners, I know that they have been addressing the different issues and concerns throughout their tenure to Springfield. So, it's unfortunate, but I do believe that it's the right thing to do to at least give them a shot. I don't believe I don't believe based on that particular situation where if they don't have the necessary clientele, the owners will always, you can always, that's an area where, we can always think about redoing something else. Anybody would want that area. It's a prime area. And I really commend you guys for being here and fighting. And my heart goes out to you guys because I know you guys live there. So, but this is something, unfortunately, when it comes to this business. I believe I trust you guys and I trust them. So it's unfortunate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Whitfield, followed by Councilor Davila, followed by Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to make a couple comments. I never said that folks were bad people. They could be good, could be bad, could be a little bit of both. I don't know any of you, not on one side or the other, really. Just being honest. But if there's something that I hear that I want clarification on, it is my right and my prerogative to ask that question. That doesn't mean I'm asking the question because I think you're a bad person. It's just a clarifying question. So the insinuation that these are good people, we don't need to say all that. I never said anyone was bad. I just wanted clarification. So I just wanted to make that point. And if anyone was offended by what I said, I apologize that you're offended, but I don't apologize for the questions that I asked. And I don't apologize for the comments that I made. I'm going to support the zone change because change is good. Change is needed. And the funeral home that wants to make a change on the Sampsons. And I think that they should be able to without the level of opposition that they are getting. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do believe, Mr. President, that we need to be congruent in our approach. As I mentioned before, the other permits that we have approved in these wise and humble chambers are similar to what's in front of us today. And I can appreciate the passion and the concern and people are doing their due diligence. And believe me when I tell you, Mr. President, that I highly respect and appreciate that. This is a tough one in terms of, I know people on both sides that I'm looking at. I know people on both sides. In fact, I have to say, Mr. President, that I had some cold beverages from time to time, and they're all great people. But a decision has to be made. And I'm not afraid to make decisions. It is my duty to make a decision. Some of you will be happy, some of you will not be happy. But believe me when I tell you that this entire body take our job seriously, and we do listen when you speak. But a decision has to be made, and that will be done. I don't see any reason why this is not appropriate. I do believe that, if I'm not mistaken, Councilor Fenton himself said that it will not be the worst thing that has happened, although I'm very clear that I believe he says he's going to vote against it. And I understand his reasoning. But at least from where I'm standing, I don't see any reason why this permit should be denied. This special zone change should be denied. But again, I will, when the time comes, I think we need to talk a little bit more details on the actual project. But I think the request for permit, for zone change, my apologies, is quite appropriate, and I will be supporting it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I guess my comments are basically to reiterate what the other councilors have said regarding the zone change. I've been reached out to by a number of residents that live right in that area where the funeral home currently is, and they said that they are not opposed to the zone change. The property has been operating all these years with, business saying, like someone else said, they're not asking for a refund on the taxes that they paid. So I just think it's appropriate for us to allow the zone change at this time. So I'm going to vote in favor of the zone change. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Perez.
I have to concur with my colleague Katie Walsh. I look at all the planning department, the traffic department. When it comes to the zone change, I experienced some of the problems in my World War I when it comes to traffic. But, and I know some of the people from both aisles, and it's difficult sometimes to make a decision. But when I made my decision as a city council, and it's not only going to affect, it is affecting in any shape or matter that I don't think it's not, it also would affect World War I, because I have schools around my on World I, and the traffic is horrendous. But I think that if we all work as a team together with the planning department, the traffic department, we have to alleviate. I look at this project of bringing jobs, more taxes to the city. So I put all this in a balance, and I myself, I'm going to be voting in favor of the zoning change. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Are there any further councilors who wish to comment during this period of debate prior to our vote on the zone change? Seeing no further questions or comments from councilors, at this time, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the zone change. 2/3 majority vote is required. A yes vote will grant the zone change. A no vote will deny the zone change.
On granting the zone change, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
No.
No, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
No.
No, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
No.
No, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The zone change is approved. Madam Clerk, please call the, Counselor Edwards?
Because of the tenor and the controversies related to this particular item, would it be inappropriate for me to make a motion to take items 3, 4, and 5 out of order? So they are not controversial. They should be able to be moved around very quickly. I believe that at least one of these items, item number 4, has a representative here from New Hampshire. I don't expect that the special permit will be any less controversial than the granting of this zone change. So I'd like to make the motion to take item number 3 out of order.
So, Counselor Edwards, your request is that item 2 be taken last.
Yes.
So you would like to table item 2 until the end of this meeting?
Yes, that is my motion.
That is your motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Davila. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the vote on Counselor Edwards' motion. This is a motion to allow, I'm sorry, Counselor Whitfield, were you on the motion?
Yes, I didn't understand what we were doing.
1 second, Counselor Whitfield.
Okay, you're going to explain it.
We're going to call for order in the chamber. I need absolute silence in the chamber in order to facilitate taking up the next round of votes. Counselor Whitfield on the motion to table item 2 to the end of this meeting.
Oh, okay. I just didn't really hear what we were doing. I'm sorry.
Yes, so this is a vote to move item 2, which is the special permit for the aforementioned item, to the end of this meeting so that the other items can be taken first.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing no further discussion, a yes vote will table item 2 to the end of this meeting where we will then take it up. A no vote will return us to regular order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On tabling item 2, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. Item 2 will be taken up as the final item on tonight's agenda. Madam Clerk, please call item 3.
Item 3 is for a special permit for motor vehicle sales service at Auto Glass Repair at the properties known as 1626 Bay Street and Northside Bay Street.
Is the petitioner present? Say again, is the petitioner present for 1626 Bay Street? Seeing as the petitioner for 1626 Bay Street.
Motion to table, Mr. President.
Councilor Fenton's made a motion to,
Can you
Table
check
to
and
the
see
end
if
of this meeting.
if he's in the hall? In the hallway?
he's in the hall? Could the detail officer please call 1626 Bay Street in?
I don't blame him.
Hmm?
We scared him.
Okay. Councilor Edwards has made a motion to
Table.
table.
Or actually, Councilman Fenton made the motion to table this item.
Table till the end of the meeting. Let's give them a chance in case they didn't realize they're going to be called.
Without objection, we'll table item 3 to the next round of this meeting.
Yes.
And we will go to item 4. Madam Clerk, please call item 4.
Item 4 is to amend an existing special permit, ground-mounted wireless telecommunications facility, granted November 2001, and amend March 2009 by allowing an increase in height at the property known as 1889 Wilbraham Road.
Thank you for being here. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you for having me. My name is David Walsh. Our office address is 85 Rangeway Road, North Bellerica, Massachusetts.
Thank you. This is a special permit hearing will be held in accordance with the rules of the Springfield City Council. Proponents will receive 20 minutes to state their case for the special permit. Opponents will receive the same rights. Both sides will be entitled to 5 minutes of rebuttal. At this time, the proponents, the floor is yours.
Okay, great. Thanks. I'll try and be brief. Our application tonight is to extend the existing telecommunications tower at 1899 Wilbraham Road by 10 feet to allow adequate vertical space for new Singular Wireless, otherwise known as AT&T commercially, to install some new equipment on that tower and improve coverage to the area. At the ground level, we will not be expanding the existing fenced-in compound at the base of the tower. There's going to be no additional kind of groundwork needed. We're going to take a existing elevated platform for the support equipment on the ground. This is just a height extension to the current tower.
Thank you very much. Do you have anything further to offer?
They're not always this cut and dry, but in this case, this is a pretty standard application.
All right. Thank you very
Happy to
much.
answer
At
any
this time, we'll
questions.
ask that you take a seat. Are there any further individuals present to speak in favor of the special permit on item 4? Say again, anybody here to speak in favor, either virtually or in person? Seeing none, are there any individuals here to speak in opposition to this special permit at 1889 Wilbraham Road, either virtually or in person? Say again, any further individuals here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, while the hearing remains open, are there any questions from members of the City Council? Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the applicant, do you have simulations showing before and after what the visual impact will be as a result of the increase in the tower?
Thank you. At this time, I do not know. It's a 10-foot height increase. It'll bring us up to 130 feet. It's currently a 120-foot tower. We do not have simulations at this time, though.
Is this the Fresh Acres?
This is behind the plaza, adjacent to
the Patty's Plaza?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's the one at Redwood and.
Okay. And did you go before any neighborhood council for this, sir?
We did not. No, I did hear that earlier for the other applicant. Was not instructed to attend a meeting, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to if appropriate, though.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Councilor Click Bruce.
All right, thank you, Council President. Yeah, that was, I got a call from 16 Acre Civic Association, Don Roberts, who was the president of that association, and he told me he didn't get any notification or you didn't attend a meeting, so I'll be inclined to not support this until you go before the Civic Association to get approval. Thank you. That's my comment.
Thank you, Councilor Click Bruce. Do you wish to make a motion to continue?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to discontinue this until they go before the Civic Association.
Motion to continue has been made by Councilor Click Bruce, seconded by Councilor Brown. Is there any discussion on the motion to continue? Seeing no, Councilor Click Bruce made the motion. Seeing no further discussion at this time without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to continue this item to the next hearings meeting.
On the motion to continue, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. This item will be continued to the next hearings meeting of the Springfield City Council. For the petitioner, Mr. Dromey will be in touch to help facilitate appearance before the Civic Association. Madam Clerk, please call item 5.
Item 5 is a zone change. It's to change the zoning of a portion of the property known as 1267 Boston Road from Residence A to Business A.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. See, the petitioner is present. This is a zone change hearing. We'll be running in accordance with the same rules as previously stated. 20 minutes for the proponents, 20 minutes for opponents, both entitled to 5 minutes of rebuttal. At this time, I'll declare that the public hearing is open. Recognize the petitioner as the first proponent. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. President. Attorney Seth Stratton with offices at 1 Monarch Place, and with me is my colleague Rachel Fancy, also with offices at 1 Monarch Place. And as you will be hearing more from me shortly on a different application, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Rachel to present on this one.
I want to thank the council for hearing us today and start off with giving you a
Please
little bit.
state your name and
Sorry.
address for the record.
Sorry, Attorney Fancy, Rachel Fancy, 1 Monarch Place
Thank
in
you.
Springfield. I want to start off with giving you a little bit of history on this site. This was previously the Mr. Tuck's, Mr. Tint, and a men's warehouse, which operated at this facility for many years, very profitable, and a well-known site on Boston Road. However, unfortunately for our client, a drunk driver did hit this site, cracking the foundation, which caused this site to be condemned by the city, forcing it to be taken down. All of those previous uses were commercial uses, but unfortunately, because this is a mixed-use parcel similar to the zone change you just allowed, with business A in the front 2/3 and residence A in the rear 2/3, no current business use can go in this property since that building was taken down. In order for any sort of business use to come back on this property, there must be a zone change. If you look at our depiction over here, you'll see that red line denotes the residence portion, which is all currently paved and was previously a parking lot for the prior uses, which were, once again, commercial. Prior to coming here today, we met with the neighborhood council twice, once at a meeting with the whole council, and then once again with a site visit, which was noticed to the neighbors, and we did hear and feed off of some of their concerns and questions with regard to the site. Most of which were very supportive. The only real critique they had was once a use is identified for this parcel, that we come back and inform them what that use would be, walk them through what it would look like. At this time, when we submitted this application, no use was identified. There were a few parties who were interested in using the site. However, no one's willing to commit to a site that they cannot develop because of setback requirements, and you really can't do business and residence on the same piece of property. One of those uses has come forward as being more likely than the others to occur, which we have told those people who are on that application they will have to go to the neighborhood council first, discuss that with the neighborhood. But before us today is merely just this zone change in order to make this lot profitable, more valuable, and usable again. We need a zone change for that use. And I think that's all I have for you today.
Thank you, Attorney Fancy. Are there any further individuals present to testify in favor of the zone change, either virtually or in person? Say again, any individuals wishing to testify in favor? Seeing none, are there any individuals present to testify in opposition to this zone change at 1267 Boston Road, either virtually or in person? Say again, any individuals present here to testify in opposition? Seeing none, at this time, are there any questions from members of the council? Councilor Fenton.
Just a question about the neighborhood council. So you did receive the approval of the neighborhood council for this matter?
Yes. So we did submit a letter of support when we went to the planning board, when we obtained their approval, but I don't believe it was in the packet today. I did give a copy to Phil prior to this morning when I did notice that it was not in the packet, but there was a letter of approval from the neighborhood council.
Thank you. And Mr. President, if Councilor Govan will indulge me, just similar to the question she asked me, who are the members of her board and when did they conduct this meeting?
Councilor Govan.
Mr. President, thank you. Yes, I don't know what the date was. I remember they did come to our board meeting, and we have 6 board members, myself. We have our secretary, Laurie McCorkindale, board member Monty Newman, treasurer Terry Mitchell, and board member Maria Roy. And we just recently added a new board member, Deborah Bonsu. And we did have site visit after that meeting. The site visit was attended by a few board members and some of the members of the community, and they were in agreement with the zone change. They didn't mind, that it was going to be made the same as the rest of the property. And like the attorney said, their only concerns was that what would be built on it. So that hasn't been decided yet, I guess, and they will be coming back to the Indian Orchard Citizens Council to present their proposal once they find out who's going to be there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Are there any further questions while the hearing remains open? Seeing no further questions or deliberation, without objection, I'll declare the public hearing is now closed. Is there any discussion relative to the zone change prior to our vote? Say again, any further discussion or debate amongst the council? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approving the zone change. A yes vote will approve, a no vote will deny. 9 votes are needed.
On approving the zone change, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. Zone change is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 6.
Item 6 is zone change to change the zoning of the property known as 93 Wilbraham Road from Business A to Business B.
Is the petitioner present at 93 Wilbraham Road? Please step forward. This is a zone change hearing of the City Council. Will be run in accordance with the same rules as previously followed. 20 minutes will be granted to the proponent to speak in favor. 20 minutes will be granted to opponents. Both will be entitled to 5 minutes of rebuttal. This time, recognize the petitioner. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Leonardo Jimenez. I'm here for the address of 9397 Wilbraham Road.
The floor is yours.
I'm the owner of the business Van Car Sales and Repairing. We're here before the council because we came about a month ago for the zone meeting.
Okay.
To go from, I believe it's a zone A to zone B, from 5 cars to 20. They approved us, and this is the second segment of it. So we're just here to propose this against the council, and hopefully you guys can agree with us.
Very good. Do you wish to say anything further?
Good as y'all going?
No, I'm okay.
We're all okay right now.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
At
sir.
this time, we'll ask you to step aside. Are there any further individuals wishing to testify in favor? Say again, any further individuals wishing to testify in favor of this zone change? And seeing none, are there any individuals present to testify in opposition to the zone change at 9397 Wilbraham Road? Say again, any individuals wishing to testify in opposition virtually or in person? Seeing none, while the hearing remains open, are there any questions from members of the City Council?
Mr. President. for me-
Councilor Davila?
This is for car sales?
This is for a zone change. I believe the current use of the lot is vehicle sales. Mr. Dromey may be able to provide further information.
Yeah, the zone change is actually being requested. Business A, under the zoning, only allows up to 5 cars as an
I remember
accessory
that, okay,
use.
yeah.
So Business A allows additional cars to be sold. So in addition to the zone change, they are going to have to come back in and amend their special permit to increase the number of vehicles they're allowed to sell.
Right. So the applicant's already in business?
Excuse me? Yes,
The
yes.
applicant's already in
They're in
business.
business, and they've been in business for several years.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any further questions relative to this zone change? Seeing no further questions at this time, I will now declare that the public hearing is closed. Is there any deliberation amongst the council prior to our vote? Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. This particular change that's presented before the body today is an organization that's been before us before. They basically already have it set up in order to function that way. The neighborhood definitely approves them. They've definitely been a good addition in my neighborhood. And I know I'm in full support. To see a black and brown business that is so connected to the community is very commendable. So I do commend the Father and Son Act back there. And it's just really just setting them up where they can really do business the correct way, because they already have the space, they already have the area. So it's just something minor. It's already been approved as far as the traffic and stuff, boards and things went. That's all, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Any further deliberation prior to our vote? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the zone change. Two-thirds majority vote is required.
On approval of the zone change, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The zone change is approved. Congratulations. Madam Clerk, let's try item 3.
Item 3 is for a special permit motor vehicle service auto glass repair at the properties known as 1626 Bay Street.
Yes, I'm aware.
Attorney Stratt, busy night. This is a special permit hearing.
Battlefield
Will be
promotion.
held in accordance with the same rules. 20 minutes will be granted to the proponents, 20 minutes to the opponents. 5 minutes of rebuttal will be granted to both sides. At this time, I'll declare that the public hearing is open. Recognize the petitioner as the first proponent.
If I could, Mr. President, I will. We realized through some conversation that my office represents 1626 Bay Street, as well as Mr. Bean individually, who's here tonight. This is not the Frank Fitzgerald that you think it is that's on the agenda. But I would, so I'm happy to present on his behalf, but we'd request it to be tabled until after the second item at the end of the meeting, please.
You want to be heard tonight, but you don't want to be heard before item 2.
Correct.
Why?
Because it's 55 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Well, the item has been called.
Okay.
And so at this time, I've declared the public hearing open. I'm certainly open to any hearings, any motions from councilors, but short of that, the hearing is open.
Sure.
I don't mind. I make a motion that we table this until the second part of the hearing.
Councilor Davila has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was seconded by Councilor Whitfield. The motion is to table this hearing at the moment, and to take item 2 prior to this hearing. Is there any discussion on that motion? Councilor Brown on that motion? I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you.
Looking at what's in front of the body itself, it doesn't seem that strenuous of a decision. I would really kind of tell the petitioner, I would just let's put it up and let's vote. You're making a mistake by not doing so. But it's up to you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Walsh on the motion?
Before we vote on that, I would like to ask the petitioner, do you really want to delay this? Don't you want to have it be heard?
I'm happy to have it heard right now.
But you're not the guy. It's the guy behind you.
Motion's been withdrawn. The hearing is open. Attorney Stratton, you have 20 minutes.
Thank you. So for the record, in some discussions, we recognize that 1626 Bay Street, the property owner, is a client of my office. Mr. Bean, who is the regional director for A&G Glass, doing business as Auto Glass, is here this evening, is also a client of our office. And so in discussions, I agreed to walk through this process with him. It is a special permit application that's been presented. It has the support of planning. The report in the packet indicates that Neighborhood Council was notified and there was a site visit. The purpose for the special permit application is to operate a car service facility, namely an auto glass repair. And Mr. Bean is here to address any questions the council might have on the nature of those operations and the use. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And sir, do you wish to be heard as well at this time?
Not unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll ask proponents to step aside. Are there any further proponents who wish to be heard testifying in favor of this special permit, either virtually or in person? Testifying in favor, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Daniel Roy. I'm the owner of ABC Glassworks in Springfield. I've been a friend of the Bean family for my lifetime. Our fathers were friends, and anything that would be run by Mr. Bean would be a very responsible and well-run, established place. Just for a record.
Thank you very much. Are there any further individuals who wish to testify in favor, either virtually or in person? Seeing none, are there any individuals here to testify in opposition to this special permit at 1626 Bay Street, either virtually or in person? Seeing none, are there any questions from members of the City Council while the hearing remains open? Seeing none, without opposition, I'll declare that the public hearing is now closed. Is there any deliberation amongst members of the council? Councilor Brown.
Quick statement. This is something I know as far as different businesses, this is something I think is a no-brainer. This is something that's definitely needed. Thank you. I'm going to definitely support it.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Are there any further questions, comments, or deliberation prior to our vote on this special permit? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the special permit. 2/3 majority vote is required.
On approval of the special permit, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The special permit is approved. Councilor Fenton on the reasons.
The specific site is an appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition. The use as developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. Adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use, and we incorporate the planning staff analysis into the decision as the basis of the findings.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Any discussion on the reasons? Seeing no discussion, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the reasons.
On approval of the reasons, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila. Away, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the reasons are approved. Madam Clerk, please call the final item, item 2.
Item 2 is for a special permit for a mechanical public car wash at the property known as 710 Liberty Street.
Is the petitioner present? This time, we will declare the public hearing is now open. The special permit hearing will be run in accordance with the same rules as previously stated. 20 minutes will be granted to the proponent, 20 minutes to opponents, both sides entitled to 5 minutes of rebuttal. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing is now open, but first we'll recognize Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before the applicant goes, I just want to say that I think it's pretty clear it's going to get approved tonight. We'll take care of it before 10 o'clock, so there's no, dirty tricks. But if the applicant would consider waiving some or all of their testimony, I mean, I, as the neighborhood rep, have seen and heard this presentation many times. I just have a couple of questions about the conditions, and then we can move forward with it if the applicant would be willing to do that. Thank you. Just a statement, not a motion. Thank you.
So at this time, the public hearing is now open, and so the proponents are entitled to 20 minutes. And at this time, I'll recognize Attorney Stratton as the first proponent. Please state your name and address for the record.
Attorney Seth Stratton of Fitzgerald Law with offices at 1 Monarch Place in the city of Springfield. The short answer is yes, Councilor Fenton. I would just briefly, though, like to make the council available of who we have here tonight to answer those questions. We have Daniel Lance, who is the Regional Director of Operations from Modwash, the proposed operator. We have John Harder, who's the President of Atlantic Traffic and Design, who can answer any traffic-related questions. We have Jason Atkiss, who is a civil engineer with the Stonefield Group, who can answer any design questions. And we have Cody Mora, who's here on behalf of Hutton, my client, the developer of this project. I do want to say that we heard a lot about neighborhood council meetings. I personally attended several of them, and I do want to state that the neighborhood council process was helpful, and I think Councilor Fenton would acknowledge that in the several meetings that we attended with our team, there were certain questions, comments, and requests to modify and redesign and share information about the project to improve it, and many of those were incorporated based on the input received from the neighborhood council process. So I don't want it to seem like the developer or anyone in this process ignored the neighborhood council process. In fact, we think the project was improved, and many of the concerns of the neighborhood were addressed through that process based on the dialogue that we had. So with that, I won't, my statements are set forth in the notice that's been provided on the reasons for the special permit, and we'd be happy to answer any questions on conditions that Councilor Fenton or anyone else have. I will note that there was one request and modification in the planning report around the use of shrubs and evergreen. All of the landscaping related requests have already been implemented and can be presented tonight based on the report of Mr. Dromey's office. So I'll yield the remainder of my time to answer any questions.
Thank you, Attorney Stratton. Are there any further individuals who wish to testify in favor of the special permit at this time? Attorney Stratton, if you could step aside. Say again, are there any further individuals who wish to testify in favor of the special permit, either virtually or in person? Seeing none, at this time, are there any individuals who wish to testify in opposition to the special permit, either in person or virtually? Again, are there any individuals present who wish to testify in opposition to the special permit, either in person or virtually? Seeing none, at this time we'll move into questions from members of the council. Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank and acknowledge Attorneys Stratton and Dos Santos for their professionalism, not just tonight, but throughout this process, as well as the Sampson family. I have a couple of questions about the conditions and can attest to what Attorney Stratton said about the productiveness of the discussions that took place in the neighborhood council. So I think the plan has been changed many times, as is reflected here. I can see all of the changes that we requested in this plan, and I just want to confirm a couple of them with you, Attorney Stratton, if that's okay. The security gate that is proposed, the intention is that that will be utilized to close off access, vehicular access to the facility every night at closing time, which is proposed to be 8 p.m., correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and there will be a 6-foot tall fence that will run the entirety of the property line along the Cleveland Street property line. Is that also correct?
That is also correct.
Okay, and what ultimately did you decide the outcome to be for the Sullivan Street rear of the property? That current gate, it looks like that's going to be, maybe that's a question for the engineer, but in the discussions we had with the neighborhood, there's a gate in the rear that leads to Sullivan Street that's open periodically for whatever reason, and I think I saw on the plan that you're proposing to seed that and close it off?
I understand the question, Councilor. I'm going to introduce Jason Atkis, who's from the Stonefield Group, to just walk you through the most current plan and what the setup is at that location.
Yeah, Jason, if you could just focus on the Sullivan Street intersection.
Jason Aktash, civil engineer, Stonefield Engineering Design, 92 Park Avenue, Rutherford, New Jersey. So we're referring to along Sullivan Street, the access that's there?
Yeah, in the rear, yeah.
So today there is existing access that does have a gate. It isn't really used under current conditions. So what we're proposing is to landscape that entire area, provide evergreen trees in that area to really just make it clear that this access isn't going to be used under our proposed conditions. The only access will be off of Liberty Street.
Okay, very good. And all the other things that we asked that I see are in this plan. The one thing that I don't see, that I don't know that we talked about extensively in the neighborhood meetings, is the location of the signage. Is it Jason?
Yes.
Where do you propose to put the signage on Liberty Street, and how will it be lit?
All signage will be internally.
I'm sorry, Jason. I need you to remain at the microphone for the entirety of your testimony.
So all signage will be internally illuminated. And then there will be one basically ID sign, monument sign located along the entrance of Liberty Street. Not sure if it's actually identified on our plan, but all the signage will be compliant with city standards. There'll be one monument sign along with some building signage as well.
So there'll be one monument sign on Liberty Street,
Correct.
and that's going to be internally lit?
Correct.
Would you consider, and are you opposed to lighting that with gooseneck lighting?
The signage itself?
Yes.
I really believe that's more of a ModWash standard question, which someone with our operations team might be able to answer, but
The reason I'm
standard is-
asking, let me tell you why I'm asking. I'm asking because if you're going to close at 8 and that sign's on all night, it can be confusing to people whether or not you're open or closed. If there's a way to shut it off, I'm thinking the gooseneck lighting is easier to do that. But if you can tell me that you can shut off the internally lit sign at night, then that may address the concern.
Yeah, I think someone with our operations team will be able to answer that.
Yep. Hi again, hello.
Hey, yes, this is, my name is Cody Mora with Hutton Development. I also work with ModWash, the proposed tenant. And of course, our sign packages go through a completely separate permitting process. They are typically internally LED lit, and they are most of the time either ran off a photo cell, so they automatically shut off when the lights go off at night, or we can manually set them to a timer. But most of the time, if it were a condition, we can turn that off at night manually.
All right, so thank you very much. I don't have any changes to the conditions. I think everybody knows, how I'm going to vote on this, but I think we should get on with it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. At this time, the hearing remains open. Councilor Allen?
Thanks, Mr. President. A few questions about ModWash and traffic. Those are my kind of categories. Could you talk a little bit about ModWash and how many, if I'm saying the name right, how many facilities you have nationwide or regionally or whatever, just to get us started?
Hello, my name is Daniel Lance. I'm the Regional Director of Operations for ModWash. We currently have 91 locations that are operating along the eastern coast of the U.S. We do have plans to expand further than that, but I am currently over the states of Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey, and Virginia.
What would you say the center of your operation is? Is it more in that area, or is there another ModWash in this area?
There's not currently a ModWash up here in this area, no, sir.
So what would the closest one be?
Closest one would be New Jersey.
New Jersey. So it's in the first time entry here. Could you compare the, I'm concerned about the safety here. That's my main issue is the safety. It does not feel as safe as it should feel. There were, I'm not sure if I got the number right, but I think it was 240 accidents over 27 months. That's way too many. And I don't know if you could compare this location and it's what you feel the safety is there compared to your normal operations, the other 90 facilities you have.
Usually when we look at designing the facilities, we look at how many cars we can actually stack within the operation so that we're not pouring out into the main road. That's why we typically want to see at least 20 to 25 cars able to stack within the property so we're not pouring out. Usually on our busier days, we do staff heavier so that we are able to accommodate the influx of customers coming through the wash.
So are you saying that the ability to stack cars is helpful towards public safety?
Yes, sir.
They're not out on the street, is that what you
Correct.
mean?
We don't want to stack cars onto the street because we do know that that is a safety concern.
All right, that's good. What would you say the average number of cars in your stack is?
We usually look for 25 to 30 cars able to actually stack on the wash premises.
You would have 25 cars in your stack at any one time?
Yes, sir.
Does that provide enough throughput with it seems like people would be held up if you have that many people.
The way that the facilities are designed, we are mostly automated. The only thing that we actually do is load the cars on the conveyor, and then the wash does everything on its own. So as long as we're able to process the cars based on the customers driving up into the facility, we're able to actually throughput numerous cars within an hour. related to that, we have our conveyor speed set at 130 cars per hour, so we're able to process up to that many cars per hour.
I just wanted to clarify one thing. I believe Mr. Allen was asking about how many cars
Excuse
we
me.
typically see in the
I need you to speak directly into the microphone.
I just wanted to clarify, I think Mr. Allen was asking approximately how many cars are in your queuing lane at one time, as which you said 25, but I believe 25 is our design goal for how many we can hold at a time.
Typically, in any one of our facilities, we usually only have 10 stacking on the lot. So that's the reason why we look for 25 to 30 cars stacking on the lot, so we're not, if we do happen to go above that, we're still able to accommodate.
Okay, so we're talking about safety from two different standpoints. I appreciate your perspective. You're saying that by stacking cars on the lot, they're not out on the street, so they're not causing accidents. One of my issues is just how many accidents there already are there in that area. We're averaging 8 accidents a month, according to the numbers. And so I'm thinking more of the cars that are trying to get into your lot or after. So I just, I don't know if you could comment on the designs that you've used and the design you plan to use here. Has it proven to be, it seems like the goal is to keep the cars on your lot and not on the street. And that seems admirable. I just, when I put the numbers together of 400 cars a day or 388 in an 8-hour period, 12-hour period, you're open 8 to 8. 12 into 400, 12 into 3, that's 30 cars an hour. If you just go to 360, say, or 35 to go to 420, that's 35 cars an hour going through there. That's a lot of cars. I don't know what your average is in other places and whether you have better situations for cars getting back out onto the street. But do you really average 35 cars an hour? That's what the numbers of the traffic study, what Mr. Stratton corroborated before, 388 or 400 thereabouts. Would you comment on that?
Why don't I take over the response here? My name is John Harder, H-A-R-T-E-R. I'm a principal of Atlantic Traffic, and I'm licensed in this state and about 8 others, and have worked as a traffic engineer the last 30 years. And in our report, what we're using is the more national standards, which is the Institute of Transportation Engineers, or ITE, and that's an engineering association that collects traffic data, many other types of traffic data, not just trips, but for many different land uses. So for this land use, ITE defines it as land use 948, which is automated car wash, and they've collected specific data for uses like mod wash and others. And from that, we're able to project the trips that you see in our study. So the daily projection is about, let's call it about 375 a day would come into the site on a weekday. And mod wash's experience is actually a bit lower when I've asked them about their research, and it's about 250 on average for a weekday. So IT is a little bit higher. But the way we looked at it is that other uses in the area, you have Taco Bell, Dunkin' Donuts with drive-through, McDonald's. Those uses during a peak hour, traffic engineers usually look at a peak hour rather than the full day, are probably at least 50% busier in a peak hour. If you look at a standard ITE rate for fast food with drive-through, for example, and I use a fairly small size of a building, I'm going to get 50% higher trips. So I think in terms of the type of uses in the area, this is a lower generator, less intense. And I think when you talk about safety, that's another aspect. Traffic, number of trips does not directly translate to safety. The access is what we would want to look at in terms of what mod wash controls. And we did not look at the detailed accidents, but what I heard tonight from the objectors is that area that includes the accident analysis included Armory Rotary. I drove through that today several times myself. That's a very confusing area, and I would expect a lot of the accidents came from that area. So it's a little unfair to specifically say that the accidents are right in this stretch. What Mod Wash tried to do in Stonefield with their site plan is today there are actually 3 curb cuts that consist of, access to the site. There are 2 that are on either side opposite of Phoenix Street, and the idea was to minimize the number of access points from 3 to 1. And from a traffic perspective, that's generally considered the best way to minimize conflicts and try to improve safety. So right now, we would have those 2 northern access points closed and the access to a single point further to the south, somewhat aligned with that Dunkin' Donuts access to the south. So we're doing everything we can to really control, the access design, queuing on site, as you heard, has 3 lanes for storage, so it's very well designed. And it's a fairly large site compared to other uses in the area and less intensive, as I said.
Is it a large site compared to?
Well, if I compare it to the Dunkin' Donuts across the street, the Taco Bell's at the southern end of the Save-A-Lot, the McDonald's, it's a bit larger.
It's larger than them, yeah. But how does it compare to traditional or typical car wash square footage or whatever? Is it larger?
I can't say I'm an expert on that in terms of what size they look at, but it's a fairly large triangular piece that I can't testify to that because I haven't worked on that many mod washes.
So just 2 follow-ups on you. You said 250 cars, and I don't know if I got the context for that right.
Right.
So we're talking about, before that you said 375.
Right. IT, so that's a standard that's independent study group, ITE, Institute of Transportation Engineers, collects data from various land uses, one being car wash category, and their number is about 375 per day. Mod Wash has expressed to me their experience is on the average of about 250 a day, so quite a bit lower, but we can expect in that range of numbers per day. So traffic engineer numbers, or planners use the same numbers from ITE. They're not a fact; they're a projection. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I know you're not as familiar with it maybe. I grew up on Liberty Street, about a mile down from there. I was in an accident at the Rotary once. I'm well familiar with the street because I lived on it for 20 years, about a mile away. So it concerns me with the elementary schools that are over on Armory Street. There's about I don't know for sure, but I'd say there's about 1,000 kids. At Boland School, which is across the Rotary. It's not right by Sampson's, but a lot of those kids live on Phoenix Street, etc. And I'm just concerned that not enough has been done for safety here, particularly given the track record of 241 or 271 accidents. That's a massive number of accidents already in a very heavily trafficked part of Springfield. There's no one who looks forward to driving around the Armory Street Rotary. I had kids, grandkids, went to school at those schools. I went through that Rotary constantly for years, picking them up. It was always backed up, always backed up. So that's my concern. I'm not sure if you've done everything you can do on that. And I know the traffic, I don't know all the different parts of the traffic study. Is it your firm that did the traffic study?
Yes. Again, I go back to what I said, is that we control the site and how we access it, how the vehicles traverse the site, circulate, and we've done all we can to control those elements and I think do a very good job. We really can't control what's happening off-site, outside of our access.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. We'll go to Councilor Govan, followed by Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess my question, or not really a question, it sounds like what we're talking about when Councilor Allen was talking about the 241 accidents. If the woman from the Hungry Hill Neighborhood Council associations said that the accidents were down at the Puerto Rican Bakery, which is Armory, and I don't know what that side street is. They weren't on Liberty Street necessarily, but when I heard her talk about the businesses that were already there, I thought that would be a perfect location for a car wash, with the AutoZone over there, and the Dunkin' Donuts and the McDonald's there. I travel along that street, and the Rotary is not a really fun place, but I think the city has done a really great job in improving it a little bit, because I think it has gotten a little bit better, the Rotary anyways, but that's, you know, down from Liberty Street. So I actually got a few messages from some of the residents that live there who are not opposing the car wash and would like to see the car wash there, because Sampson Funeral Home is leaving, right? So something has to go there. And I think, you know, at this time, it sounds like this might be a great addition to what's already there. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Davila, followed by Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question, who was it your man speaking just a couple minutes ago? Not you, Seth.
I believe that would have been their traffic engineer.
No, not yet. I'm going to get to that. Oh. The young man speaking, who's the one, I don't know who to address. Who can ask my question with regards to what's of operations, building, timelines? Anybody?
Construction timeline.
I can. Cody Moore with the developer.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Cody Moore with I'm the applicant.
Good evening, Kobe. So what are you hours, what days are you going to be open? Because I see 8 to 8, but I don't see dates on this.
Yes, the tenants' standard days are Monday through Friday, 8 to 8. So 7 days a week, 8 to 8. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
I think either I heard you wrong or you just told me two different things. Are you open Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday?
I'm sorry, 7 days a week, 8 to 8.
7 days a week, 8 to, okay, got you. Okay, good. And if this is approved, when can we expect the shovel to the ground?
You say construction?
Yes.
Depending on if we want to start during winter or not. So if we do not start immediately, then it would probably be a March or spring of 2024.
That we start building there, okay, and we can expect completion by.
Well, to also speak to that, you know, we have a demo permit that would not be granted for a couple months still. So that would also absolutely push the timeline past February at least.
Seth?
If I could just add on that, there's a demo delay. We're working with Springfield Historic Commission.
I was just going to speak to that. Okay.
Yeah.
So 9 months. Okay. All right.
Which
All
is
right. I got you. Okay. So we're talking at least a year probably.
The clock is already ticking. It's 9 months from April. So because we've already started that
Why
process.
is it from April?
Because we've already submitted.
Oh, you submitted it.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. I didn't miss that. Okay. I'm sorry. Somehow I'm having difficulties hearing back here today. My apologies. All right. I'm going to get back to you in a second. But Phil, Mr. President, with Phil, if I may.
Mr. Jerome.
Hi, Phil. So, Phil, being consistent and honoring the concerns of the first round here, of the concerns that people brought up of the opposition to this project on the zone change. First, let me tell you that I do think, as I stated before, it's an appropriate use. Fit nicely in the neighborhood, it's appropriate with what's there now. But I want to honor the concerns that were brought up, particularly about the traffic. And I brought up about one entryway, as I see in the renderings. In your opinion, is there space to have one entry, one exit point that are not adjacent to each other?
Well, I think you're kind of asking the wrong guy. I am certainly not a traffic.
You suggested you approve one entry, so I'm assuming you're the right guy.
I'm approving one entry based on the fact that the Department of Public Works has reviewed the traffic study and approved the entry. The way the operation is designed, you would not be able to put an exit. You have all the cars going in and queuing in one direction and then going through the car wash and coming back out. So I don't believe the way you'd have to, I mean, that to me, that's more of a question to the petitioner as whether it could be redesigned to have two entrances. Right now it's designed to have one with a queue right in front along Liberty Street traveling north.
Okay.
You go through the car wash and then come back around and exit the same exit.
All right, thank you, Phil. Thank you. So I'm just looking at the renderings here, and just follow me for a second, if I may. Do you have a rendering there with you that you can put up?
A rendering?
Yes,
Believe we do.
so that people at home can see it as well. Thank you. Oh, that's, okay. So I'm just looking here, so people are gonna go in, then I see you have a quake there, and I think you were telling Councilor Allen that holds up to 25 cars, if I heard you correctly?
The area here before the pay kiosk, yes.
25 cars. So in my car, I get into that quake, I go in, I pay, of course. Then I go to the car wash, right? And I come out and over to my left. What is that? Is that vacuums?
This area right here is vacuum area parking. If they're not required to, but there is complimentary vacuum hoses for customers who have used the car wash and
Gotcha.
members.
Are those vacuum going to be on 24/7?
They would shut off at 8 p.m.
When you guys close?
with the hours of operation. They can be controlled inside and cut off when the car wash
Okay.
is not open.
Same thing with the lighting that I believe Councilor Fenton was asking that could be shut off automatically.
That's correct. The majority is controlled through photocell, and then the only additional lighting would be for security reasons.
Beautiful. Now, so I wash my car, I vacuum my car, then I'm leaving. What is that to my left-hand side there? I don't know what that is. I see, is a parking space or what is that?
This area right here, am I pointing correctly?
Yes.
That would be what we've designated as some employee spaces.
Employee, okay. So now I go and I leave, and so that exit point is adjacent to the entry point. And that is my concern.
Yes, you have the option there to go right or
No,
go
I see
left.
that, I see
Yeah.
that, but I'm telling you, that's my concern.
I think most patrons like myself coming out of that site prefer to go right because of how easy it is to either use the turnaround to come back. But that is the proposed design, and I have heard your concern about, do you think that distributing it between one entrance and one exit, I would refer to my consultant if that would improve the safety. In my mind, by reducing the amount of curb cuts.
Is your consultant here?
Yes.
Does he want to come up?
Why not? While we're waiting, if I could, Councilor Davila, for the expert to address it, I think, if I'm hearing the question, one of the things that, as the project proponent, developers would typically, as another project we discussed, would prefer to have as many access and egress as possible. From a business standpoint, from a safety and traffic standpoint, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but I think the reason for a single entry and entrance is to minimize the impact on the thoroughfare. And so I think it's a trade-off between reduce the entrance and exits may not be ideal from a business standpoint, but it addresses some of the concerns that we've heard tonight. If I misspoke on any of that, I'm sure you'll.
Well, you didn't. I went through that about today. There are 3 curb cuts for
I'm
our
sorry,
site.
I'm sorry, would you state your name?
Sure, John Harder, H-A-R-T-E-R. I went through earlier about how there are 3 curb cuts today, and we're closing the 2 northernmost access points that exist. And traffic engineers like to limit the number of access points and to a single location. If it's geometric, maybe would potentially the driveway could be wider to have more, geometry for movements if that's a concern. But generally, a single access point is often preferred over multiple access points.
So, John, I hear you, but I'm a little perplexed because unless I missed something here, most people have 2, an entry and an exit point. Unless, please correct me and my colleagues, unless I'm mistaken, I see 1 entry one way and 1 exit the other way. And I'm really talking about hampering this issue because that right there, it's a very, as we know, a very busy intersection, but it's quite appropriate. I'm very concerned with that area there, particularly in the mornings and at night. We have like the Dunkin' Donuts, Councilor Fenton was saying, we have McDonald's, we have Save-A-Lot. We have a lot of activity there, and I'm concerned, and I'm trying to picture it. I could see an accident happening right there on that little area. And so it seems to me that you guys want to keep one as it is now. Is that correct? Is that what you suggested? One?
To the south, yes, yes.
Okay. Are you telling me because it's a safety concerns?
Well, most access theory from departments of transportation to counties is to limit the number of access points. So that's what we've done with our plan is minimize the number of access points, and that reduces conflict points along a roadway. So McDonald's has a single access point on Liberty Street. Save-A-Lot has a single that is signalized, so it's a bit different. But that was the intent of this design.
I'm trying to think with what you say. I think at McDonald's you could go out the other way, but that's like a little plaza
It does
there.
have a secondary access through another business, yes.
Okay.
But on Liberty Street, for example, it has a single in and out, just like we're proposing. And
So help me understand. So why do most proponents have a different entry and a different exit point?
It depends on the layout. With the drive-through, that's fairly common. The Dunkin' Donuts opposite us has a two-way driveway to the south and an out-exit driveway to the north.
Okay.
So that usually works better in that situation.
And so you're telling me, in your professional opinion, this is a safe plan?
Correct, right. It also gets us away from Phoenix Street, which I thought was an important factor.
Right.
And in our report, we also looked at site distance. It gets us more, away from the uses to the north.
I understand.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, John.
Thank you.
you so much. Thank you, Mr. President. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. I just want to make councilors aware, the time is 9:46, so we will be approaching Rule 54, which will require unanimous consent to continue the meeting past 10 o'clock. So I just want councilors to keep that in mind. At this time, we'll go to Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to know how many jobs will be created at this location.
Hello. We typically employ about 12 to 15 employees, depending on full-time, part-time status.
Okay. Do you know how many full-time, how many part-time you're anticipating?
We usually have 6 full-time and the rest are part-time.
Oh, okay. And then I just wanted to say that I went to your website and I noticed that you have a model where you use a lot less water. You plant with like trees and wildflowers that attract favorable, I guess, insects, bees, and things like that, that pollinate other sites, other land, and things like that. You're kind of like a green organization, and your air fresheners have nice little quotes on them then they're uplifting. So I just wanted to mention some of the positives. I know we have to talk about the traffic and the accidents, but just by looking at your motto, it looks like you're clean and what am I trying to say? Green, energy efficient. So those are just the comments I wanted to make. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Click-Bruce.
Thank you, Council President. I would just like to call the question.
I'll second that.
Thank you, councilors. I appreciate your intention. The proper motion at this time would be to close the public hearing.
So made.
I like it.
Second.
Councilor Click-Bruce, the floor remains yours.
I'd like to make a motion to close this hearing.
Motion has been made by Councilor Click-Bruce to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was seconded by Councilor Davila. Is there any discussion on the motion to close the public hearing? Seeing no further discussion, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on closing the hearing. A yes vote will close the hearing and proceed to debate on the special permit. A no vote will return us to the hearing.
On closing the public hearing, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The public hearing is now closed. Is there any further deliberation or debate amongst members of the council prior to our vote on the special permit? Say again, is there any further deliberation or debate? Seeing no further deliberation or debate, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the special permit. 2/3 majority vote is required. A yes vote will approve the permit. A no vote will deny it.
On approval of the special permit, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
No.
No, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
No.
No, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
No.
No, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The special permit is approved. Counselor Fenton on the reasons.
The specific site is an appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition. The use as developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. Adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use, and we incorporate the planning staff's analysis into the decision as the basis of the findings.
Thank you, Counselor Fenton. Is there any discussion on the reasons? Seeing no further discussion, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the reasons.
On approval of the reasons, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
No.
No, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The reasons are approved. Madam Clerk, is there any further business properly brought before this body?
There is not.
Seeing none, councilors, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.